Perched above the stunning Mediterranean Sea sits the beautiful city of Malaga. Just beyond the golden beaches and the towering Santa Iglesia Cathedral, the roads wind through breathtaking landscapes from the rugged Ronda Cliffs to the sun-soaked coastline of the mesmerizing Castillo. But this weekend, the action shifts away from Malaga at the fast and technical Campillos Kart Center for round one of the Champions of the Future. It is 2025, it's a brand new season with brand new drivers and also returning drivers from last year ready to take on a full new season of racing. Here at Kart Center Campillos, year of opening 2005, event record set by Christian Costoya in qualifying practice 59.897. He was the only driver this weekend to dip below the 1 minute, but the track itself an absolutely fantastic circuit with around 1.5 kilometer race distance. It's 200 meters down the start-finish straight. It is then 175 meters down the back straight towards turns 15 and 16. All of these corners, though, provide a fantastic overtaking opportunities, but the track around 8 to 10 meters wide. Elevation change, though, it's massive. 15 meters out there. Turns, 18 of them, 13 to the right, 6 to the left, and then, of course, the 4 hairpins out there. Each and every one of them provide ample overtaking opportunities. We've seen them in towards turn 6, down in towards turn 12 with the hairpin, and into that final sector as well in sector 3, 15, 16, and turn 17. We have seen overtakes in other places as well. However, it is a dance of a circuit, this one. Very tricky to do it. Top speeds, though. Drivers topping at around 126 kilometers an hour into the braking zone of turn 1 and down into turns 15 and 16 at the bottom end of the circuit, averaging 95 kilometers an hour. It is a fast-flowing, demanding roller coaster of a circuit to kickstart the 2025 season. Myself, Anthony Jordan, and Nicole Sutherland in the commentary box over the course of this weekend and the year as well. Nicole, the sun is shining. Yesterday was a busy day. Today is a brand new day. What can we expect to see?
You can expect to see these drivers absolutely going for it today, Anthony. We start off today with the OK Junior qualifying heat B versus F. That's up very shortly, but what a circuit we're at for the opening round of this 2025 Champions of the Future.
No, exactly that. We're all primed and ready to go racing. There as well is your race director, Martin Bean, on the starting gantry here, primed and ready to go racing. He'll be joined by the likes of Dan Ashton on track, but then also with constant communication to the race control team as well, which is headed off by Joanna Falcao, joined by Mikael Reddin, and Sam Fisher as well. Not the fictional character from Splinter, but from real life here as well. Here we go then. Here's the grid, the pre-grid there down in the Campillos Centre Cut Circuit. And there is your man starting this one on pole position. Henry Domain for the Forza Racing team. Brilliant day yesterday for him. He's not finished outside the top 3, but he's not had that first qualifying heat win yet. That's just eluded him. We'll be looking at him for this race a little bit later on to see what he can do. Other drivers in this race, though, that have excelled over the course of today, Lucas Bonholm as well. He struggled in his first race at P10, but he did come away with a P2 in his race. Everyone who's in this grid, though, groups B and F, so far, Nicole, have not had a qualifying heat win.
No, they haven't. Mark Pilipenko had a P3, but then had a DNF. So there's some drivers within this grid, you know, they've had a really good race, and then one that's, you know, going to be a bit of an Achilles heel for them throughout this weekend and throughout the rest of the heats today.
Yes, indeed. So much will be happening over the course of this weekend of racing. Of course, all of these drivers fighting to get through to those super heats and, of course, into those illustrious finals at the end of the weekend on Saturday. I'll stress that. So tomorrow is finals day, not Sunday. There is a look at some of the hard-working, dedicated marshals out on the circuit. They're enjoying a small break now in between the warm-ups and the start of the qualifying heat. But we could not go racing without the brilliant marshal team out there who are going to be enjoying the sun, I'm sure, throughout the day, but making sure our drivers stay nice and safe out on circuit. It's been a relatively calm morning in morning warm-up. Drivers just getting themselves sorted out. But as you can see, engines getting fired up as we're about to go racing for the first time today, but not the first time over this weekend, because this is Heat 13 that is going to be heading out onto the circuit, and there you can see them do that. Let's quickly fire you through then that full starting lineup to kickstart our day today. It's Henry Domain and Mark Pilipenko on row number 1. Bruno Blanco and Julian Fresnelli go from row number 2. They'll have Bosco Arias and Lucas Bonhomme on row number 3. Remy Samchek and Michael McGow will go from row 4. They'll have Evan Purcell and Alexander Lazarus on row number 5. Leonardo Gorski and Giacomo Guscio go from row number 6. They'll have Benjamin Magnac and Sebastian Escandari on row number 7. Archie Lovett and Zhang Jose will round out the first half of the grid on row number 8.
On the second half of your grid, you've got Roland Nagy alongside Felipe Sanchez. On row number 10, you have Ludovico Mazzola alongside Martin Bertolacini. 11, we have Alex Malotta and Bruno Grayling. And on 12, we've got Canada's Edward Kennedy alongside Vatsman Royan. 13 will be Jarlath Sayer from Great Britain alongside Jindrich Voboda. 14 is Jagrat Trotroja and Vanessa Shilkinator. And rounding out your grid of 30 karts, we have Mohamed El-Bazaki and Olivier Sini.
Well, let's see what's going to be happening over the course of the next few laps. Yesterday, it was a relatively calm day for drivers out there, and already over the course of today, we've got drivers chopping and changing a little bit with those tyres. Of course, the Maxxis tyres being used over the course of this season, back again for another season and for the foreseeable future as well, which is good to see. But already some drivers choosing to go for a brand new set on one side of their kart. So we'll keep a very close eye on that one over the course of the day. Right, with drivers now getting themselves fired up, ready to go. This is their last chance to get any temperature into those tyres. You can see from these camera angles here just how undulating this circuit is. 15 meters of elevation change around the lap. It is a beautiful, beautiful venue, and that camera shot there tells you how high up we are as well. This track sits at around 2,000 feet altitude as well. We're very high up, which means if we start talking too fast, we might pass out, Nicole.
You might.
I might, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, we'll brush past that one. Right, drivers getting themselves down in towards the final sector. This is where they will be lined up 2 by 2, rolling start formation, no overtaking as soon as they pass the red line, which is there on your screen. From this point on, they can get themselves to their starting position if they are in place. But if they are not in place, which there are some drivers who are not, they might struggle. Now, this is a very spread out first race of the day. Yesterday, we had nearly perfect starts all the way throughout. I think only one false start. But today, let's see what happens as the lights are not out. That is our first race of the day and our first false start of the day, Nicole.
Yeah, not the way we'd like to start, but I can see on the back of the screen there's just a few drivers right at the back there. There's one coming up the straight and towards turn 1 that just aren't in position just yet. Probably indicates maybe they've not managed to get off the grid properly. I believe it could be Vanessa Shilkinator,
yes,
the number 85.
Yeah, is one, and Bruno Grayling, the number 66 as well for MDC Racing, also another. Grandstands there packed. As you can see, the air temperature currently at the time of day is around 16 degrees. It is expected to go up to around 20 degrees today. It feels a lot hotter than that when you're in the sun. Once the clouds come over later on in the day, it feels a lot cooler when you're out there. But for these drivers now, it's just maintaining everything that they need over the course of the day. You can imagine they're running these karts are probably a little bit richer due to the altitude that we are at as well. And with the elevation change, the hill climbs and everything, they're running a much bigger rear sprocket on the kart to really get the acceleration out of the corner. That does limit the top speed of these karts as well, just a little bit down the straight, which is why they're only topping out at around 126. These karts can reach around 140, maybe even a little bit higher at some other circuits. But right now, they are running like that. Here we go then, into the tram lines. Are we racing? Yes, we are. Down in towards turn number 1, then we are green for the first time today. And watch out for that outside line. But Henry Domain managing to sweep into the lead there nicely, holding on to that front-running spot. And there's drama in the background for the first race of the day. 2 karts off in the track, the 91 and the 43 going no further in this race. And that is a big shame for them. Jagrat Tatoja is one of them out of the race. and the rest as well, but that's not what they want to see. Roland Nagy, the other, and I think Vanessa Chilcareta may have been involved in that as well. So as she was trying to get back into her original grid slot position, it's not gone well for her at all. Back here at the front, though, you've still got Henry Domain in the lead of this one, but he's holding on to it, and it's all kicking off in the background there, no, Nicole.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It did look like Henry Domain got a little bit bumped into that corner. There we go then on your screen, the Fusion driver trying to make the move as well on Domain. It's Pilipenko, he makes it stick. So now we are led by a Ricky Flynn driver at Fusion, and then Domain in the Forza in P3 as they head out under the gantry for the first time, completed the first lap. It is the number 27 that leads the way then. That is Bosco Arias. What a start from Arias then, promoted himself up 4 positions into P1. It is actually the Fusion...
moments there for second place, and he's hit the curb too hard there, and Pilipenko and Samchek, who were battling away nicely at the front there, have now swapped places. So Pilipenko up into second place, and Remy Samchek down to P6. That was just too much of that inside curb, Nicole, and a little touch from the rear, and it just sent the kart sideways a little bit too much, and around he goes. So you're seeing here, first and second are all fine and clear. It's third place downwards where it's really starting to kick off, and it's being led by Domain right now. Blanco's there, McCuffin's there as well. Samchek, Purcell, Fresnelli is there, Gorski, all in that battle as they push their way through. You can see there the intermediate classification as it currently stands. Domain, being where he is still in relative control of that one with 121 points to his name, despite Bosco Arias leading the way here. Across the line we go, on to lap number 3 now, and it seems to have simmered down a little bit here, Nicole. This is where we start to get into that phase of the racing where it's all about just trying to get to the end.
Yeah, absolutely is. And that mistake by the driver previously by hitting those curbs has given Bosco Arias a nice little lead there. He leads the way by just under a second. It's 0.932. But I've seen from these drivers, they really don't touch these curbs, Anthony. It looks like as soon as they kind of touch them, just unsettles the rear end of the car and just causes trouble, not only for the car that's touched the curbs, but for the drivers behind.
No, exactly. We did a track walk earlier in the weekend, and we were thinking, you know, these curbs have been freshly painted, but they've had a load of testing over the course of the last few days, and the curbs were still looking pretty pristine out there. So, you're completely correct. They don't really tend to use them.
It sometimes looks like you might be able to gain some time by, cutting the distance by hitting a curb, but I think round here you just unsettle things too much.
No, exactly. We're watching still that lead train pushing their way through. Gorski getting past Fresnelli in that last sector. Nice little chop and change for them. But Fresnelli really looking very strong on that Tony kart. You can see him there in the number 32, pushing his way up nicely through the field. He is, at this moment, down 3 places on the recovery drive back, but still pushing hard. Bruno Blanco now with the fastest lap of the race. Now, he currently sits in 3rd place, and from looking at our screen, there it is on your screen now. He is closing in on Pilipenko for P2, and again, Nicole, over the course of this one, Bruno Blanco, 7th and a 3rd, Pilipenko is on the down trail here. He had that DNF in his second race to the driver from Kazakhstan, but now he's fighting back in this one. Here's a look at that race start again, and all here at turn number 1 and 2 was fine. It's when we get out of turn 2 into turn 3, this is where it goes wrong for Roland Nagy and Jagat Tiptoja, just on that curb. Again, on the inside, as we talk about it, you don't want to hit it.
Yeah, we were talking on our track walk, weren't we, Anthony? That section, and you could see the car. He looks in trouble there.
Broken track rod, indeed. Yeah, that is.
We were saying, weren't we? As the Fusion number 14 gets it wrong out of that corner.
That was what we were calling about earlier on. Yeah, you can't hit those curbs.
No.
It is one of those things. This was another feisty moment in the background there, but you can see it all kicking off still. Evan Purcell getting squeezed out of the order there at the start of that race. As it goes on then, Eskandari now with the fastest lap of the race. The driver from Australia for the Tony Kart Racing team, currently in 13th place, is in about the 3rd group of karts. Is around leading that 3rd group of karts as they push their way up the hill. I've got to say I'm super impressed with Bosco Arias in this race. He has driven away at the front of the field, but my eyes are still going to be relatively focused on that 2nd place battle, and here it is on your screen. Pilipenko and Blanco line astern right now, and you can imagine for Michael McCall who's right there behind them, the American in P4, is just thinking, right, come on, go for the move. I'll be right on you then, and we can be a 3-car battle for P2.
Yep, completely agree. Miguel, of course, P8 yesterday. You know, he's got a little bit of progress to do, but he's looking quick into here. You know, and he's in a prime spot now where he's got the chase. He's going to be hoping for these two drivers in front, one on an OTK, one on an apparel-in, to start having a bit of a battle with each other, and then hopefully he can try and pick off both of them. But it's the two in front that have got more to think about currently because, of course, Pilipenko's got to fend off Blanco, and Blanco is going to have to try and make a move, open up a gap, and send it in from what we've seen on this track as well, quite far away.
Yeah, especially when they go down into turn 15 and 16, which, funnily enough, is where they're heading to now.
And he does it there, Anthony. He's done it. Blanco then promotes himself into P2. That nice lunge from far away, sets it up between 15 and 16 and just goes in.
God, it's almost like we know what we're talking about sometimes, Nicole. It's kind of frightening, isn't it? But there we go, through in towards turn 1. Blanco now in control of this train. Miguel right there, though. The American has also closed in now from that overtake, so we are expecting maybe a few more fireworks here. But Pilipenko, like you say, with that result yesterday, you can imagine today is probably thinking, I need to make sure I keep these results, and we might see a little bit more of a defensive line from him. We are not on the last lap just yet. We are on lap 7 of 8. That last lap board coming out this time around, so you can imagine for Miguel, he's probably thinking it's either this lap or the next lap, but I'm getting it done.
Yeah, definitely is. But like we said previously, he was waiting for that move to just pip that extra couple of tenths to get onto the back of this battle, and now he is in contention for a P2 potentially.
Potentially so. Right, here we go then, down into that one. That's not going to help out Mark Pilipenko, though. Warning flag for him, and that will add another 5 seconds onto his post-race results. He will not be happy with that one, will Pilipenko, but we'll have to see what happens. He checks over the shoulder now, can see that Magov's there, and that clears Magov. He doesn't need to go for the move now. He will have seen that and think, oh, right, okay, he's got that. I can just chill here. Don't need to push my tyres. Don't need to risk having a moment, anything like that. I can just chill and get to the end of this race now.
I'm sure as well Miguel will probably be signalled to by a mechanic just to say, you're okay. The mechanic would have seen that the driver in front is getting the 5 seconds, and he's probably been signalled, just stay there, don't risk it, there's no point.
Yeah, exactly that. But, well, for the rest of them, that makes it all fine and clear then for Bosco Arias. This is a good start to his day then, as he makes his way in towards the final sector of the lap after the P4 and P7 yesterday to kickstart with a qualifying heat win for the Spaniard. I'm sure he'll be very happy with that result, and with that, he now moves up into the lead of the intermediate classifications. Domain was leading that one, of course, at the start. Unfortunately for Henry Domain, we've not spoken much about him, but he has tumbled down the order. 8th place for him, but to the line then, Spain's Bosco Arias over the line takes his first win of the weekend for Ricky Flynn Motorsport. Bruno Blanco finishes in P2 from Mark Pilipenko. Michael McGow finishing in P4 from Lucas Bonhomme. From Leonardo Gorski, Remy Samchek, Henry Domain, Giacomo Gusso and Sebastian Escandari, who round out the top 10 as they make their way back in towards Parc Ferme. Of course, the race not over just yet. Nose cone checks, of course, on the scales, and scrutineering. So many things these drivers have got to go to until we get that full official classification in a few moments' time. But for a first start of the day, Nicole, not too bad. A little bit feisty at the start there, and I think the main thing that we've learned, as we see the classifications on your screen, is avoid those curbs. Avoid those curbs, indeed. We saw what it did to Jaguar Troja, you know, broken front track rod, you know, it's just clipped it, turned it round, and then you're vulnerable to all of the karts that are coming up behind you. Yeah, indeed. The rest of the results there on your screen. Top 10, we went over. Benjamin Magnac finishing in 11th place from Fresnelli. Van Rooyen from Zhang Jose. Archie Lovett finishing inside the top 15 ahead of Martin Bertolacini. Ludovico Mazzola from Felipe Sanchez. Alex Malota from Charles Saya. Olivia Aricini from Alexander Lazarus. Edward Kennedy from Vanessa Chicreta. Bruno Greeling from Yenrich Vaboda. Evan Purcell and Mohamed El Bazaki round out the 28 karts that finished that race. The 2 retirements right at the beginning. Roland Nagy and Dragat de Troja not going any further. There, though, on your screen, Bosco Arias of Spain with Ricky Flynn Motorsport for 2025. And that is a good start for him. But again, it's a calm, collected face on him there because it's just that qualifying heat to start the day. and they've got a lot more races to go. Let's have a look at the highlights from that one. A little shaky at the back. Front was clean. It was when you get in towards turn 2 and 3. Unfortunately, Roland Nagy, Jaka Tatoja, round they would go. The initial spin was for Roland Nagy, who went round, and Tatoja collected him on that AKM kart. You can see how he rotated in the background for some other drivers as well. They took a pretty hefty hit there also, but managed to keep going in the race. More dramas later on as well, with those overtakes coming in thick and fast. Bosco Arias into the lead of that race, and then you had the likes of Mark Pilapenko right there at the front. Remy Samchek, though, was the driver who just had this moment here on the inside of, I think that was right at the top of the hill at turn number 5 on track. Just hit that curb on the inside, a little bit of persuasion from the rear as well. And round he would go. Evan Purcell also having some ups and downs in that race. Race continuing then to the final sectors of the race. You were seeing those last few overtakes coming in from the front runners in the mid-pack. You saw Gorski having a good little fight. Leonardo Gorski battling away at the front, as well as the likes of Eskandari. He was fighting his way through the field pretty nicely. Julian Fresnelli, good start to the race, but then unfortunately dropped backwards into the pack as Bosco Arias crosses the line to take his first win of the weekend. A good start for him.
Definitely. Yeah, you know, woken up and made the most of it.
Woke up, chose violence out on track. Well, not
Well,
violence.
no.
Not violence. It's the wrong word.
He stayed out of trouble.
He stayed out of trouble indeed. Yeah, took the win. Here we go then, straight into the next race. We turn our attention now to the seniors, groups B and F. They will be heading out next onto the circuit, and it all starts with a man on pole position for this one. Second fastest overall in timed qualifying. Roman Kamyab for the United Kingdom on that Lando Norris chassis for the Ricky Flynn Motorsport team. There he is on your screen, and a solid start to his weekend. But let's see what he had to say after his time qualifying.
Roman Kamyab grabs pole position in the first senior qualifying of the year and of the day. Roman, junior for you last year, you've jumped into the senior category and you've grabbed a pole. Must feel great.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the pace all week. Qualifying was really good and I got a really good gap and it all paid off.
And when you were driving round, Roman, did you know that you had perfected each corner?
Yeah, I feel like I could have done a little bit better, but I knew the pace was there and it was going good.
And moving into the heats, you know, we've got a lot more qualifying sessions to find out who else will grab those poles in the other senior groups. But going into the heats, what's the confidence level like?
I'm very confident because, you know, I'm fast and hopefully we can get some good results in the bag.
Great to hear from you, Roman.
Thank you.
Well, good to chat there to Roman Kamyab, which was a very sunny day yesterday as well for time qualifying, although it did feel a little bit cooler than what we expect it to be today. But yes, solid day for him yesterday. Yes, okay, started on the front row, did drop back a little bit, but has some solid top 5 finishes, 2 P4s for him. And I would say that's not a bad way to start your weekend.
Definitely not, and not a bad way to start your first year in the senior category either.
No,
2 P4s.
Exactly that. It's a very good show because, my goodness, there are some names in this. And unfortunately for Roman Kamyab, he is joined by one very big name.
right on his tail.
Right on his tail, Joe Turney, who yesterday has taken a qualifying heat win and a second place last year's European champion. But then he's also joined by the likes of Aston Sharp alongside him. Again, another driver stepping up into the seniors for the first time, P5, and also a qualifying heat win.
Yeah, so we're led the way in this race really by 2 drivers that are kind of fresh, new to this. You know, Aston a little bit different to Kamyab. Aston is coming to the OK for the first time, really. Kamyab has been in OK, just OKJ, but we're led the way by 2 drivers, you know, that are probably coming into this with not really a lot to lose. You know, new start, learning year for both of them as well. So I'd say that actually gives drivers a bit of an advantage sometimes.
Sometimes it can do. As well, another driver who has looked very strong so far in the senior category. You look on the second row of the grid, Jacopo Martinez, the Italian, a P1 and a second place yesterday. So again, the Italian looking mighty, mighty strong. Now he is there. There's a bit of a gap between them. You can see the karts are at a bit of a funny angle here. That is understandable. The pre-grid here at Kart Center Campillos is a little tight on the exit, especially when you're trying to push start an OK kart. So it becomes a little bit challenging.
Well, of course, these drivers are in direct drive karts, so they have to be pushed to get started. You know, decompression valves pop up and then off they go. But the mechanics only have a certain distance to push them. Once that line is crossed, that's it. The mechanic has to move. So that on your screen, why they kind of look a bit out of position, is to give the mechanic, you know, a straighter line so that they can push it.
Yeah, exactly that. And, well, hopefully then they get a good shot. But there's also that other rule as well, when these karts, when they struggle to get going as well, there's a white line that they can't pass. If a mechanic crosses over that, it's an instant taken away. So there you go. They've got to be careful with that one over the course of this. So, right, engines fire up. They head their way out. But already, this is what we were talking about. That exit is just that little bit too tight there. And as soon as one kart stalls, the rest all have to stop, and then, of course, they stall, and then it looks a little bit funky, and then, yeah, this one here is
Scott
just
Marsh, that is on the screen, I think, in the DPK.
It is, yeah, the 231, Scott Marsh for the United Kingdom, out of the kart now. Mechanic's going to push it back, but I think that's, well, all the karts are going to be trying to come out now as they're trying to push it back through. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough one to sort out. But let's quickly go through this starting grid then. Roman Kamyab and Aston Sharp on row number 1. They'll be joined by Joe Turney and Jacopo Martinez on row number 2. Jensen Burnett and Luis Francis go from row 3, with hopefully Scott Marsh being on row 4 alongside Keo Fairhand. Alpac Soy and Emilio Koivisto go from row 5. They'll have Leo Nielsen and Maria Neto going from row number 6. Neto with a brand new right-left tyre. On row number 7 sees Davide Mataro and Oliver Stadler. Row 8 is Chiara Batigue and Zhao Zijun.
Second part of your grid houses Zach Drummond alongside Hugo Marti. On row 10 will be Ella Hakkinen alongside Vegard Clementsen, and 11 will be Jakob Kamenek alongside Sebastian Mins, new in the CRG. Row number 12 is Bo Louette alongside Louis Tort. 13 is Carl Lutard alongside Senna Muna. 14 will be Iron Dames driver Luna Flusha alongside Daniel Picorni. 15 will be Vilma Svan alongside Sanya B. And rounding out your grid of 32 karts is Zach Dole and Clovis Nugaray.
Zach Dole having a tricky day yesterday, DSQ'd from one of his races, so hopefully today he can get that squared away and a good start today. More dramas out there, Nicole. One kart stationary on the start-finish line. I believe so as well. Yeah, the 288 not going any further in this race, and that is a huge shame. And I can imagine the start of that race has been watched very closely by race control. Joanna Falcao in the middle there, joined by Mikael Redding in the background, and Sam Fisher in the inside as well. He's joining the team for the first time over the course of this weekend, really getting involved and watching what happens and giving a helping hand as well. So let's see what is going to be happening over the course of the next few laps. Already drivers having moments. I can see that Scott Marsh has got going, but he is well out of position. He is not going to be starting on that fourth row of the grid. There, in a gantry with the brightest shoes in the world, is Dan Ashton. He is joining us this weekend in his, well, I would say, bird box out there that he's enjoying.
Bird's eye view.
Bird's eye view of the circuit. He's got a cracking view. Right, front of the grid though. Here we go. Are we racing? No, I don't think we are. It's a false start. They are going round again. And that's kind of understandable. A lot of drivers just out of position, not where they should be.
Drivers out of position, but this does give Scott Marsh, you know, perfect opportunity to try and gain his position back. There on your screen then, we've got results from qualifying heats so far. Christian Costoya leads the way with 100 points. Joe Turney shortly behind with 94, but drawn with Jacopo Martinez, both on 94 points so far.
Indeed, and they start alongside each other on the second row of the grid. So someone there is about to overtake someone in the points, so this is the prime opportunity.
Who's it going to be?
Who's it going to be? That's a great question. I am not going to answer that question. What about you, Nicole?
Because it will go in the commentators pile of things that we say wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And that pile for me is rather large, so I've got so many things wrong over the year, but that's okay. But right, here we go. The field, once again, sorting themselves out. Now, who is right at the front? There's a kart going almost stationary into the final corner, and the front of the grid now is sorting themselves out. I think we're going to be going around again here, Nicole. I don't think, it's already been classed as a false start. That no one is formed up at all there, and for the seniors, that's quite a shock.
Yeah, it was your race leader, Kamyab, that was just kind of miles in front of the rest of the field. Scott Marsh at the back, I still don't believe he managed to get back into position. Just question if maybe, you know, he is, if we're on the rolling lap, he is allowed to He's just not caught.
Yeah,
Just yet.
he can, obviously, now it's a false start. In this lap, he can get back into his position. It's when you're about to start, when you go past the red line, then it's not allowed.
He's still just sitting right at the back of the grid so far yet, though.
Okay, so maybe he feels like that's where he wants to start, maybe work his way through the field. Not too sure if he doesn't want to risk getting those passes done. Right, this now is where it starts to get a little bit interesting for the drivers because, of course, now they're wasting a lot of time. They're burning fuel that is measured perfectly for the start of these races. That maybe they'll add a bit more to maybe cover off a false start or two. But they don't want too many, of course, because they've got to be above a certain weight as well. It's been wear on the tyres, unnecessary wear on the tyres as well. So these are the sort of things that you don't want to see too much of. No,
karts, of course, these 150 kilos, so everything is measured absolutely spot on to what it needs to be. Maybe a heavier driver might be using less fuel, you know, to save on that weight. So when you get into this situation where you're doing too many laps, you start to maybe get yourself into a bit of trouble.
Yeah, exactly that. So you do need to be just that little bit more careful. This time around, they are a little bit more bunched up, which is good to see the front row lined up, ready to go then. Campillos and Sharp as they cross over that red line on the circuits. And this time around, I think we're going for a start right now. Drivers still not fully into position. Like you say, Scott Marsh choosing to stay at the back of the grid as the front. Gets themselves formed up then. Here we go. It will be Roman Campillos and Aston Sharp to the line, but who will get the whole shot in towards turn one? We are racing down in towards turn number one, and keep an eye on Joe Turney as well. He's already looking down the inside, but he's not going to do it. And round the outside, Aston Sharp, as he did yesterday, Nicole, has just managed to file his way through.
I've seen him try and do that 3 times, and he's pulled it off twice. Very, very impressive driver in there from Aston Sharp. That's Joe Turney getting it wrong out of that corner and all over the rumble strip, was off the track. We've got Campillos, the 27 in front. Joe Turney now going in on Campillos as they head down the hill, swap and changing the positions, those two drivers.
Well, it was Campillos and Turney who actually got together, and a little bit of wheel banging there just squeezed Turney out wide, and that's why he's absolutely sent it down the inside and retaken that position. Action at the front, though, because there's a new change for the lead. Jacopo Martinese, the young Italian who had a good day yesterday, is looking to start today even better with another qualifying heat win, but he will have to be careful because Joe Turney once again is on the charge back here. Last year's European champion running on the 201 machine for Kart Republic is starting his charge back through the field now as he heads across the line. It's Martinese from Sharp, Turney from Francis, Campillos from Axoy, Burnett from Covisto, Verhan from Nilsson, the top 10. Drummond had a brilliant start to his race. He is up 6 places for Zach Drummond, the driver who finished 5th in this championship last year, certainly having a very good start today. And Scott Marsh is already under investigation. 3 wide here in the background, but for the beginning, Nicole, relatively feisty start there for the seniors.
Relatively feisty indeed. There on your screen, we've got the qualifying heats points so far. Jacob Martinez, who leads this race, is in that P1 spot so far. Joe Turney then following shortly behind, and Aston Sharp there as well in P3 with 130 points. There we go. On your screen is the race leader, Jacob Martinez. Just looks so controlled around this Campillos circuit. You know, we've said before, driving around here, it's almost like a dance, you know, with the on and off camber and the hill changes. We have a move there on the Forza driver.
That's Emilio Covisto, on Jensen Burnett, the MP kart racing team, now developing drivers all the way from karting to Formula 2, have opened up their 2025 season with a brand new chassis, the Henza chassis that they're running on board with. I think it's had a lot of development with Falcon and the Komoto team as well, and are pushing it nicely this weekend of having some great results. Here's the current stats for the drivers. First and second, Jacopo Martinez at this moment is cleared by 0.2 of a second, but with that fastest lap, Joe Turney piling on the pressure again, Nicole. This is what we see from the senior. Not wasting any time. Sees a gap, goes for it.
Absolutely, and I think that's a bit of a trick within the OK racing. You know, if you're following a kart for too long, your tyres get too hot, things heat up too much, and you end up understeering. And I know that Joe understands, as soon as you're behind a kart, you've got to go.
Well, it's the pace as well. There's a big send down the inside as well for Lewis Francis, so his teammates following as well. So Turney and Francis on the move. Sharp now down to P4. And again, it is that mentality of the drivers where you think you don't want to get stuck behind it. You've caught up to someone. You don't want to then get caught up behind them and start matching their pace, because then you'll go no further. You need to get that overtake done immediately as soon as you're caught up, because then you continue that pace, and that is what Turney and Lewis Francis have done now with France for the fastest lap of the race.
Absolutely correct. If you're right behind somebody, you're all in their dirty air, and I think you naturally end up following their lines a little bit. You know, if you've caught up, you're faster, but it's easy enough to get into a rhythm of doing what the driver in front of you is doing, and then you make mistakes, trip over each other.
Exactly that. The only question remains then is, can Martinez hold off last year's European champion Joe Turney? I can hear out of my ear in the commentary box, maybe an exhaust has come off, but well, speaking about it, well, wasted absolutely zero time there for the change of the lead. Joe Turney now leads the way over the start-finish line, wasted absolutely no time whatsoever, and now Martinez will have the ultimate test now to keep up with Turney up the hill. Now I think there is a problem.
I believe that is. You know, I can hear it. It's loud when they come off. You can definitely hear it. Yeah, I think that's Carl Lutard.
There he is.
MP kart retirement there for that driver.
Yeah, I am still an advocate of maybe removing all the silencers off these karts and just let them go racing with that. It would sound absolutely really annoying probably, but fantastic at the same time.
You can feel it as well almost.
Yeah.
The vibration, sometimes it's that loud.
No, it certainly is. Lap number 4 we are on right now, or lap number 5 I should say. We are half race distance of this, and I've got to say, Turney, Martinez, Francis closing in right now. Martinez has managed to match the pace here of Joe Turney and has not allowed him to break away. That is, of course, keeping Francis in tow. It's also keeping Aston Sharp in tow as well. Those top 4 still in a very strong position. Alpac Soy in P5 is at this moment kind of happy to be there because he's all on his own a little bit, so he's waiting for maybe something to happen in this group. But something tells me, Nicole, that we're going to see overtakes on this top 4, but it's not going to be the fight that you expect.
Yeah, maybe not. On your screen, we can see fastest lap has just been set by Maria Neto, the CRG driver. She moved over from Tony Kart over to CRG for 2025. Had a bit of a difficult drive yesterday, had some penalties, but she's in there, she's quick, she's back in the fight.
Yep, certainly so, and looking after the wagon over the course of this weekend. Roman Kamiab leads the 6th place group backwards, Jensen Burnett just behind him, and that fight certainly kicking off as well. Covisto still there, and like you were saying, Maria Neto, who is in that fight also. I'm watching this top 4 here. I'm thinking Francis is going to be the next driver to go for the move right now on Martinez. The question remains being, Nicole, where and crucially when?
I wouldn't like to call it. I think the overtaking hotspots that we've seen from these drivers so far are through turn 6, 12, 16, 17. I think the last sector really is where we see a lot of drivers go for those big moves. There on your screen previously, we just saw the kart of
Vilmos Svan.
Vilmos Svan, who had retired. So yeah, previously that exhaust that come off was Svan, not Lutard.
Yes, so Vilmos Svan having the dramas out there with the exhaust coming off. But eyes will focus on the lead battle here all the way throughout, because Joe Turney again continuing to open up that gap. This was the overtakes from Joe Turney through the race. There was the first one on Aston Sharp later on. A few laps later, his teammate would follow suit. There was the change for the lead, and again, wasting no time whatsoever there. And Jacopo Martinez, fellow teammate, of course, Joe Turney, is just saying, right, okay, you go through. And again, I can understand that. Jacopo Martinez, this is his first year racing with Joe Turney. He's probably thinking, you know, I want to learn a thing or two off you. I'm going to follow you, see what you're doing out there, and seeing if I can match it.
Yeah, and what a better person. You couldn't learn off of a better person, Anthony. No. You know, European champion. He's been in the fight now in this for years. He's the most experienced driver on the circuit right now. Yeah,
and it's not, we're seeing that in a lot more teams as well, where you're getting some experienced drivers coming back from where they used to race. Yeah, Victor Gustafsson for CRG, he's back racing this weekend. He's giving the data, some knowledge and everything to the younger drivers in the CRG awning. And, you know, we're seeing that again from Joe Turney here as well.
It's like having a development driver. You know, they're there to push the chassis forward, to help the younger drivers, to strengthen the team as a whole. You know, and the Kart Republic team, having Joe there on your screen, who was just adjusting the carb as he was coming down the straight, having a driver like that can help develop both the karts and the younger drivers strengthens the team, and you know that is what we see from Kart Republic year after year. They get stronger and stronger.
Yep, they certainly do. And of course, you can see a lot of them there rocking the brand new 2025 NASA panels as well. Did a video on that last weekend on NASA panels. It wasn't exciting at all about it, but a lot of development has gone into those NASA panels. There's quite a few different ones out there. I've been nicknaming them. I think the one that Joe Turner is running is the Parolin made one for Kart Republic and Parolin and everything like that. As we'll talk about that later on, because action happening out on circuit down the inside. Jensen Burnett on Roman Kamiab getting that move done. That was that battle for P6 that we were talking about earlier on. Now has finally gone for the overtake. A little bit late on into the race there, but probably thinking, right, okay, I've got the train of cars behind. I've got Maria Neto, I've got Emilio Koivisto, I've got Leo Nilsson right behind. I need to just think, can I get this job done? I do not want to be swamped into that pack behind. But again, a drastic show there of different orange liveries out there. We were getting stuck with those yesterday, especially in the seniors. You've got, of course, you've got the orange Framer of Teresa and Langendonk. You've got the MP karts, and then you've also got the CRGs. They all look identically orange.
When they're with a Forza as well.
And when they're in a Forza, yeah, also add a Forza in there for good luck. And you've got 4 orange karts that you can't tell the different who's who. Right, final lap we're on right now. Joe Turney still leads by 0.7 of a second from Jacopo Martinez. France is still there in P3 from Aston Sharp and Alpac Soy. We are currently watching the battle further behind then. Jensen Burnett and Roman Kamiab who continue to battle away. But it's Maria Neto now who is on the rear bumper. The qualifying heats at the moment. Joe Turney looking to lead that then going into later on today. 144 points to his name as he exits out of the final corner. And he'll see the checker flag for not the first time, but the second time this weekend. For Joe Turney, Jacopo Martinez finishing in second place ahead of Francis. Sharp from Axoy, Burnett from Kamiab, Maria Neto finishing in P8 from Emilio Koivisto, and Leo Nilsson rounding out the top 10. Drummond holds on to 11th from Bataro, Stadler from Clementson, Zhao from Kamenek rounding out the top 16. But Nicole, gotta say, for Joe Turney, solid start. Yes, had that drama at the beginning, a little bit of contact with Kamiab, but fought against it, cracked on, and got to the front.
Absolutely. You know, he's had a 2, a 1, and a 1. Does it every year.
He does indeed. There is a look at the full classifications on your screen. Top 16, we've gone over Hugo Marti, Scott Marsh rounding out the next 2, but Marsh under investigation at the start of that one. The rest of the order there on your screen. Kara Fairhand from Sebastian Mins, Lewis Thorpe from Luna Flusha, Ella Hakkinen from Seneminir, Clovis Nougare and Carl Luthart, Bolowet and Sonia B, Zach Delay and Daniel Picorni rounding out the 30 drivers that finished that race. Vilma Svan and Chiara Batig not finishing on track. Svan with the exhaust and Chiara Batig not actually starting the race, Nicole, so not the start you would want from some drivers.
Well, I questioned if there was something wrong when she was trying to push off the grid, because it didn't look like the kart was going. Now you can see on your screen it's the 288. So when we had the camera showing them come off the grid, she couldn't quite get it started, and just wondering then, it must be a mechanical problem. There we have then your race winner, Joe Turney. He's down in Parc Ferme. You know, nothing new for him. He's used to these race wins.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's just a calm, collected drive there and nothing to really go too crazy about. Here's the highlights from that race. And again, a steady start for the field, but it was the Kamiab and Turney moment here, just out the corner. Kamiab to the inside, that front wheel making contact with Turney's rear. And that just brought everyone into play. That allowed Francis to get through into second place. But then immediately, Turney on the fight back, straight down the inside. Later getting the move done on his teammate who was sitting there in third place. And then that trend continued all the way to the race lead later on in that race. There as well, Kamiab just falling back into the field as Alpac Soy started sending the moves. 4 places gained for the driver from Turkey, finishing in P5 at the end of that one. There was the unfortunate retirement for Sweden's Vilma Svan for the MP kart racing team. That exhaust not fully attached at the end of the race. And then there was the change from Jensen Burnett. That put him up into 6th place. Kamiab, after starting on the front row, this time dropping down a fraction more than what he'd done over the course of yesterday. But that is the end for qualifying heat B versus F for the seniors. They will be out later on today. We will see the B's group out before the lunch break. We will see Group F back out after the lunch break. But we will turn our attention now to Heat 15. It is the juniors heading out next for qualifying Heat C versus E. And we caught up with Illy Christian from Canada, who put it on pole position.
Illy Christian grabs a pole position for the Tony Kart team. Illy, great result there for you, but it looked like a bit of a challenging qualifying, was it?
Yeah, of course. Each qualifying is challenging. We had good pace all weekend. Yeah, we went out pretty late, so I was a bit worried to not get traffic and to have some time left. But yeah, I got a good lap, and yeah, I'm happy.
And you went out quite late. Why did you make that decision? Why do drivers do that?
Of course, tires are good mostly for only 2 laps, and also I wanted to get some draft, to get some slipstream, and yeah, it went good.
And heading into the heats then during today and for tomorrow, what's the confidence level like? You feel good?
Yeah, this year has been very good. We see what we can do tomorrow. Yeah.
And you say this year is going well. What's the winter look like for you? Have you done a lot of prep going into this Champions of the Future season?
Yeah, I did a few test days here, and yeah, I did a lot of races, and yeah.
Great to hear from you, Illy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Indeed, great to chat there to Illy Christian, who starts this one on pole position. The driver from Canada, joined by the Italian Girardello on the front row of the grid. Antonio Pizzonia and Will Green go from row number 2. They will have Jeremy Rivers and Iskender Solfakari on row number 3. Maxim Bobajov and Emiliano Hernandez go from row 4. They'll have Turner Brown and Luke Tal on row number 5. Row 6 is Jean-Mathieu Rousseau and Mariano Lopez. They will have Devin Waltz and Denny Babacek joining on row 7. Marcel Sebu and Daniel Miron will round out row number 8.
The USA's Asher Ostein starts alongside Tobias Degenyi. On row 10, we've got Victor Stalmack alongside Jesse Phillips. And 11, we have Nilas Malik alongside Amir Seborov. Row number 12 is Gregor Callas alongside Alessandro Truchot. 13, we have Italy's Gustavo da Silva alongside Manuel Miguez. 14 is Juan Garciace alongside Mika Runitz. And rounding out our grid of 30 karts is Tony Cacciaferro and Emilia Vermishka.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing what is going to be happening over the next few laps for these grids. But for these drivers, we will see certainly a very development side to this story, because again, we've got drivers here in the form of Illy Christian, has not lost a race yet. He is leading that intermediate classification with 2 wins to his name. Effectively, I mean, he sits 7th right now because he has not done this 3rd race. When he does this 3rd race, he should go back to the front if, of course, he takes the win, or anything lower than about 15th on grid, because it's only 120 points to Bosco Arias right now. Right, let's see what happens then. Out of the final corner, into the tram lines. Are we going for the first start? Yes, we are, as we head down towards turn number 1 again. Watch the front row. Can he hold it around the outside for Girardello? The answer to that is no. Illy Christian holds on to it as they slide up the hill now for the first time, as they negotiate turns 3, 4, 5 and 6 up this hill. This is the pinch point on the circuit. This is where you can get the moves on the inside, get that switchback on the positive camber corners. But this time around, no real changes in that top section. But Christian right now, good start for him, Nicole, breaking away, and crucially, Antonio Pizzona has followed suit as well.
Absolutely has. Great start for Christian, the young Alpine Academy driver. He sits there out in front. Will Green also off to a good start, similar to Christian. He's part of one of the F1 programs. He's with Williams, jumped into the OKJ category for this year, but a nice, calm, cool, collected start to this race. As I say, it looks like he's getting a bit busy. That was a Ricky Flynn kart just getting hung out to dry slightly, coming out of the last sector. Here we go then, under the gantry for the first time. It's Christian that leads from Pizzatio. Will Green there. Iskender Sulfakari sits in P4, and then Girardello has dropped 3 places down into P5.
Yeah, not the full start we wanted. Luke Tal with a good start as well. 4 places gained. One of the biggest movers, or one of 3 biggest movers out there, Alessandro Truchot and Manuel Miguez are also in a very good positioning. 4 places gained on those opening laps, but they are down a little further in the field. eyes on this front group, though, as they push their way through. Confirmation then of that points change. Hilly Christian heading to the top with 150 points to the name. Will Green looking very strong here, Nicole, is all over that rear bumper of Pezonia for second place. And I can suspect we might see a move relatively soon. I thought we were going to see it there down towards turn 16, but not this time.
No, let's watch Zulfikari as well, the way he drives the car, because he knows that Will Green is going to be looking for the move. I'd say Zulfikari is going to be watching it and will try and capitalise off of it as well. Yesterday, Zulfikari had a race win, but then had a P7, I believe, after a penalty. So he's going to know he needs to jump back into the sharper end of the field, try and get a 1, 2 or 3 to keep himself within the higher end of the field of points. Just got right up the back of Will Green then, almost got himself in a little bit of trouble. Of course, these carts, front fairings on them, you get too close to someone and bump into the back of them, it will drop, and that's an instant penalty when they come into Parc Ferme.
It certainly is. Yeah, you do need to be careful with that one. This is all kicking off a little bit, though, further down in the order as well. This is Turner Brown, Denny Babacek battling away. Tobias Tajeni, who has just sent it through as well. Now, they've had a very dramatic first opening lap because Devon Waltz, Bobrasov and Rousseau all managed to get past the likes of Turner Brown and Babacek, who have gone backwards in this order. And Babacek is actually tumbling down even further. He's gone down to 19th place now in this race. Big look to the inside there. That wasn't going to work too
Girardello and
soon.
Zulfikari.
Yeah, indeed. And he's trying to fight his way back through this field again. And now the victory lane is going to send it through. And that is nicely done by, I think that's Emiliano Hernandez trying to get the move done there in the background. But it's all still kicking off here, Nicole, as these drivers really are piling on the pressure on each other.
Yeah, absolutely are. Girardello tried to go for a move on Zulfikari throughout the last sector, just didn't quite commit to it hard enough, and it cost him because now he's under pressure from the Paralin behind.
Yeah, indeed, he's gone down to P6 as well, and that Paralin really piling on the pressure. Lap number 4 we're on of 8. And, well, leaders all calm. This battle here, though, is where we're seeing all this action kick-starting. You can see it all just fluctuating throughout the grid. You've got from 11th place downwards, Daniel Miron has had a good one on that last lap now. He's managed to get past Bobrasov and Turner Brown. With that, though, it's all changed again because Bobrasov has just lost out in 3 places. So in between sector 1 and 2, you can just see how close they are getting, and those overtakes coming in thick and fast. Over the line, Pezonia for Green, Zulfikari, Tal, Girardello still in a very strong spot here, but Girardello right on that rear bumper now of Luke Tal for victory lane. And now alongside him, and now in front of him. So again, we see those overtakes up into turn 5. We were thinking they might be against the first overtake at turn number 5 because again you see it try and get it on the exit of turn 6. That's where it seems to be.
You set it up through turn 5.
Yeah.
I'd say you've got an uphill climb, so it's always going to be difficult to get a move done in there, especially with these carts. You're on the limiter so early that going uphill and trying to make that work into 5 is just not going to work. But if you can set it up with the grip level heading down into 6 and 7, much easier. We have had a move then on the screen from Iskender Zulfikari. He's passed Will Green. Iskender just looking really, really strong throughout this race. He's now sat there in P3. How is Will Green going to respond? We've got a move there from a Fusion kart on the Ricky Flynn. That was, I believe, Mariano Lopez. Yeah, Mariano Lopez on Jeremy Roivers, so P7 for Lopez.
Yeah, indeed, Lopez on the charge through the field. Lap number 6 of 8 we are on now. Still, Christian leads that gap 1 second now from Pezonia, Zulfikari and Green. Devon Waltz with the fastest lap of the race. He is circulating in P10 right now, which is the battle we are just about watching. He's at the back of that train as well. Jean-Mathieu Rousseau is all on his own in 11th place right now as they try to fight their way through this order. Lovely view there down the infield straight here. It is quite a long infield straight as well at the Campillos circuit. And these drivers do always like to go for a move down in towards turn number 12, but this time around all staying fine and clear. Bobrasov now
5
picking up
seconds.
that warning flag. He will need to be very careful over the rest of the course of this race because he is battling still pretty well at the moment. He did have moments earlier on, but he is still in the mid-pack around P15.
Bobrasov, of course, a bit of a shock driver a team move earlier
Yes.
on. A couple of weeks ago, he's been with Fusion and then announced, he's going to jump into a Ricky Flynn instead, which I think shocked a few people within karting. But other than that warning flag, it's working. He's doing a good job out there. He's fast.
Yeah, indeed. It seems to be working well for him. Lap 7, eyes focused on this fight here. Zulfikari and Pisonia, second and third place. And Zulfikari looking just that little bit faster here in towards sector number 2. There is your race leader on the penultimate lap of this race. But this fight for P2, Zulfikari, I suspect here, Nicole, might be wanting to go for the move. The driver who took a win yesterday knows how to get around this circuit. Struggle with that 7th. There it is, down the inside. And again, it looks like that comes from so far back.
Iskender Zulfikari, take a bow, because that was from a mile away.
Certainly was, over the start-finish line. And already Pisonia was thinking, I'm going to try and get it back on the exit. Not a chance, says Zulfikari, and continues that charge through. But we're on the final lap now of this race. He's now got to think about defending for the entirety of this last lap as Will Green goes defensive from Diradello. Diradello now trying to recover back to the front row of this grid, but that is not going to happen, and Green maintains control of 4th place right now. Well, let's see as they keep going then down the hill. But these drivers now just trying to think what they need to do to get to the end of this race, which will be maybe hold a defensive line. But we're not seeing that from Zulfikari. He's just staying in position now. He knows Pisonia's not going to have the legs to try and get them moved back. Giratello attempts it again on Will Green, just in the background, and Green will maintain P4. Yes, he does. He's not going to lose out on any time, and Luke Tal will close in as well. So it got close in the background, but at the front of the field, Ili Christian clear by 1.4 seconds from Zulfikari, claims his 3rd win of the weekend so far, has been unbeaten. The driver who qualified 3rd overall now looks for his 3rd qualifying heat win of 5 over the course of this weekend. Well, there we go. He will make his way back to Parc Ferme then as he finishes ahead of Zulfikari. Pisonia from Green, Tal from Girardello, Lopez from Roivers, then it's Hernandez, and was finishing inside that top 10, the American for Kart Republic, with the team switch, of course, from Forza Racing last year, the same as his brother Drew Waltz, both changing to the Kart Republic factory team. Well, they will make their way back to Parc Ferme. Let's have a look at the full results there on your screen. Jean-Mathieu Rousseau finishing in 11th place from Jesse Phillips, Daniel Miron from Turner Brown, Maxim Bobrajov from Asher Oshtein, Tobias Jenny and Denny Babacek rounding out the top 18 on circuit. 19th place downwards sees Alessandro Tuchon, Manuel Miguez from Nilas Malik, Marcel Sebu and Juan Garciate, Gustavo de Silva from Mika Runitz, from Gregor Callis and Victor Stalmack, Amir Sabarov from Tony Cachaferro, and Amelia Vishamirska rounding out the 30-kart field. All 30 karts that finished that race. And Nicole, we always like to see things like that, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely do. Everybody round, everybody safe. It's what you need.
It is indeed what you need. Right, well, they will get themselves sorted out in Parc Ferme. We'll take a look at some of the highlights from that race, as C&E for seniors will be coming up next onto the circuit as the sun remains in full force out on circuit. Still 16 degrees out there. A fabulous day to go racing here at the kart centre Campillos in the south of Spain. Just about an hour's drive away from Malaga. But let's have a look at those highlights. And for Ili Christian at the start of this one, no drama. Straight away, hold on to the lead. Great start for Pisonia as well, utilising that inside line, managing to squeeze past Girardello in the early stages. He had more moments there as well when he dropped backwards in the order. Luke Tal gaining the positions. Emilio Hernandez fighting through as well. But Girardello just again on that back foot in those early stages, but certainly did claw his way back through the order. There was the fights happening further back. Iskandar Zulfikari getting up into second place on that Forza Racing machine, beating the Fusion Motorsport driver of Antonio Pizzona to that second place spot on the track. But checker flag coming out, and the Canadian, Ili Christian, just getting it to the end there. 3 wins out of 3. Heading into the next round of qualifying heats later on today. But like I say, we will turn our attention now to the senior category, Group C and E, heading out onto the circuit. And again, a very busy day for some of these drivers. Yuri Peschel and Filippo Sala on the front row of the grid for this next race. 10 laps, 16-kilometer race distance for the senior drivers. Results from yesterday for these drivers, there were some ups and downs. Peschel with some good results, win and a third. He's in a really good position here. Filippo Sala, who starts alongside, second and an eighth, still inside the top 10. But from the front row, that second qualifying heat, he had not the full result he would have wanted. Jakub Miklev has been Mr. Consistency. 2 P5s for him. Yes, he's been down from his third place starting spot, but still in a strong position nonetheless. Daniel Kelleher as well. Also a third and a sixth. So again, just ups and downs, no real dramas and calm control races over the course of yesterday, wasn't it, Nicole?
Yeah, he's been, you know, some of these drivers in this grid are thereabouts. You know, Daniel Kelleher, P3 and P6. So, you know, in the fight, but still a little bit more progress to be going on. We have a interview coming in then shortly.
Yes, indeed. Yesterday in time qualifying, Yuri Peschel putting it on pole position in group. Here's what he had to say.
Yindra Peschel grabs a pole position in the final senior qualifying of today. Yindra, great result there for you. Can you tell me about what it was like out there on the track?
Yeah, but it's obviously the first time using the tires this year, so I already, from the sessions, I already understood that is or the third lap or never. So I really prepared I warm up the tires, I prepared the position, I prepared the space for the third lap. Then I just pushed. I was feeling much better with the chassis than I was yesterday and today in the morning, so I knew that I could do a good time. I had the space, then yeah, just trying to make not many mistakes, and I finished the lap. P1 it is. Not overall, but we're happy with that. So I think all the team would be happy.
And this circuit is not one that we see on the calendar very often. It looks fantastic to drive. Are there any unique challenges about it when you're driving around?
Yeah, it's obviously the first sector there, the really tiny part where it's not really wide. The rest of the track is really, really wide, so you have to, you cannot make many meters on the track. But me, honestly, I like the track only because it's a downhill, uphill, and that's what I like.
And your pole position is the second today for Tony Kart. You know, they grabbed a pole in the junior category as well. Can you tell me about what it's been like back there in the awning? What's been said to you to make you as fast as you are?
Yeah, the work from the team is really big. They always try to improve. They always bring some new things every single week. So yeah, really, really happy with the work they're doing, and hopefully we can continue that this year.
Hopefully you can. Good luck and well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, great to chat there to Yuri Peschel, who is starting this one on the front row of the grid. And again, we said it earlier on, really strong performances from him in those first couple of races with that win and a third. Here's a look at the timetable that we've got coming up today. Of course, the next race coming up in around 2 minutes' time, qualifying heat C versus E for the seniors. We then move to groups A versus D. Then it'll be groups B and E. That will be then before the lunch break. We'll have around about an hour or so until we kickstart the second half of the day from heat 21 all the way down to heat 30. Over the course of that one will be groups D and F for juniors and seniors, A and C, D and E, A and F, and then rounding out the day with groups B and C. That last race starting local time 5 minutes past 5. So if you're here for all of those groups, make sure you set your alarms. So what I would say, don't go anywhere, because today is going to be a very busy day of qualifying heats. And like you say, in 1.5 minutes time, we will see that next group heading out onto the circuit. Big changes over the course of this season in the seniors. Nicole, I want to say a lot of this because I was writing my notes at the start of this weekend. Lots of things I've got written down on my piece of paper here. So many juniors moving up into the seniors. That's really shaking things up. You've got drivers. It was what silly season, wasn't it? Drivers changing teams, isn't it? Because so many drivers have moved around.
Yeah, we think Formula One is bad for silly season. Karting is way, way worse.
No, it certainly is, yeah, because over the course of a season, you can get drivers switched for 3-4 teams over the course of it. Big ones as well. Zach Drummond, who was 5th in the championship of this one last year. He was with Paralin. He's moved to Fusion now for this season. Peschel, who's in this, he was with the ASD Monster K karting team, which run the CRG. He's now lost the CRG. He's now running with, of course, the Tony Kart racing team, so he's gone from CRG to a Tony Kart, so that's a big change for a driver.
Yeah, and a big change in a driver we can see on the screen is Filippo Sala. Moved from Ricky Flynn over to Forza, and that change is working really well for him.
Yep, it certainly is, but all these drivers right now, they just need to work on these karts, because they'll have done testing on these, they'll have run these karts already over the course of this season. They'll have some knowledge of it, as there you can see, live on board with Jindra Peschel looking backwards. And that will be a cracking shot for the start of this one. As you can see, hopefully gets it started up at the beginning of this one. His mechanic very promptly gets out the way, and they do indeed get started. So Peschel heads out onto the circuit with the others, as one of the Kart Republic mechanics, they're just having a last big oomph of a push there for one of their drivers. Let's quickly fire you through then this full starting lineup for qualifying heat C versus E. Jindra Peschel on pole position, joined by Filippo Sala, Jacob Mikulev, and Daniel Kelleher go from row number 2. They'll have Joseph Smith and Efim Turdanov on row number 3. Elliot Kaczynski of Sweden and Louis Cochet of France go from row number 4. They'll have Sebastiano Pavan, who has also changed team as well. He'll be joined by Matt Corby on row number 5. Paul Andriotis and Francois Cadell run up row number 6. Roland Cooklane and Badana Benoldi go from row 7. They'll have Marco Gast and Alexander Chartier on row number 8.
Row number 9 will be Makar Sevelev alongside Dean Pedersen. Row number 10 will be Sarah Matsoy, who will be hoping for a better race after a DNF yesterday, alongside our P6 in the world, Lev Krutulov. 11 is Jorn Helder alongside Fausto Onado, and 12 is Oscar Gallan joining us for his first year at this level of karting, alongside Peter Stiller. 13 is Aaron Garcia with Romeo Roussel, and then we have on 14 Franziska Kigelski alongside Zach Green. Shortly behind is Amin Kara Osman alongside Maximilian Rafalik, and rounding out our grid of 32 karts with a brand new set of tyres on the left-hand side of his kart is Mariano Alatorre and Arthur Huang.
Indeed, yeah. Very early on in the weekend to deploying that half a set, because they get 1.5 sets over the course of qualifying heats. And of course, the Super Heats have got a brand new set for that final. So that's an early call there. Race director Martin Mean on the gantry, ready to go racing this time around. He's had his work cut out for him this morning. Those starts have been a little bit shaky, haven't they, today?
Yeah, they did. We saw drivers out of position, especially in the first 2 races today. Just kind of didn't look like they knew exactly what they were doing with themselves. We had, I think it was 2 or 3 full starts in one of the races.
Yeah, indeed. So not what you expect to see at this top level of karting. Of course, these are some of the best drivers in the world of karting from around the world. We've got drivers from every single continent you can imagine from as we go on board with Jindra Peschel. This is going to be a great view from behind. You can see there Jakob Mikulev on that platypus-style NASA panel, as I've been calling it. You've got the front flat nose and then the nostril there where the air shoots up inside and then tries to disperse it around the driver's head and not straight into his face. Right, here we go then, into the tram lines. Lights are out. We are racing down and towards turn number 1, and it's a brilliant start for Peschel. No drama whatsoever for the pole sitter, just sweeping through into the lead. Sala as well on that outside line has just been dropped back into the field. Jakob Mikulev, though, on that Kart Republic has got up into second place, and he has had a brilliant start again, utilising, Nicole, that inside line at the start of these races.
Absolutely did. Filippo Sala, then the Forza driver, just to drop back into P3 as they were going under the gantry over the line, playing with the company. Just didn't quite look like he could get that kart going. Maybe lost a little bit of time. There we have a driver having a look up the side of
Joseph
Sala.
Smith.
Joseph Smith not quite had the momentum to get that going. He's now got to fight off the Ward kart of Elliot Kagensky behind him. We've said it time and time again in this track, it's a momentum track. You lose your revs, you just can't get up these hills.
No, you can't. You have to be very careful. So keep an eye on these drivers across this one as they go across the line then. It's Peschel from Mikulev, Sala, Smith, Kaczynski from Kelleher, Pavan from Andriotis, Duganov from Cochet for one driver, though. It's not gone too well. Mariano Alatorre has not come across the line in this one. I'm not seeing any yellow flags out there, but the driver who we were talking about earlier on, who had switched on a brand new set on the left-hand side, is not clocking up on my screen. So maybe is still in this race, maybe a transponder glitch. Eyes on this, lap 2 here now. Peschel still leads by 0.3 of a second, but this group here, Nicole, is looking very interesting. This is 4th place downwards. Kaczynski holding off Kelleher, Smith, Pavan, Andriotis as well. There is Smith. Well, he's having to deal with everyone now behind him. Kaczynski's managed to break through. Daniel Kelleher trying to get back past as well. Pavan there, Andriotis. It's all kicking off a little bit. There is the 269 of Mariano Alatorre. Maybe there was yellow flags out there. We just didn't see it, and I'm trying to think what part of the circuit that is at. I'm not too sure out there, so I'll try and figure that one out. Right, on to lap number 3 we are on now. And Peschel still in control, but the gap is still 0.3 of a second, and it's not going too well, and there's a kart going slowly, Nicole.
I believe that could potentially be the energy kart driver of Lev Krutulov. I think it is. Expect a retirement from that driver then, the 307.
Yeah.
Not quite sure.
I think
is
that's
that
a flat tyre.
Puncture? Yeah, on the rear it looked like, Anthony.
Yeah, it looked like rear right tyre for Lev Krutulov, so that is a big, big shame for the driver racing with the Energy Course team. Eyes on this one, the top battle here, group of 4. Well, I say it's a group of 1 and then a group of 3 at the moment. Peschel's clear now by 0.6 of a second. It's Sala, Mikalev and Kaczynski who are in that top leading fight. Kaczynski just off the back of them right now as they're heading down in towards turn 16 on the track. The group behind them as well, also kicking off. Daniel Kelleher leading that one. Smith, Cochet, Pavan, all in that group as well. As rest as one more also, as I believe it's Cochet is there as well, and I think another one of the Energy Courses of Paul Andriotis, who has joined onto the back of that group as well. So big changes happening throughout this one. New fastest lap of the race though, Nicole. Kart Republic's driver from Ireland, Daniel Kelleher, looking to see if he can try and close in to that lead battle. Live on board with Junior Peschel from the lead. You can see the gap that he's managed to open up, and this is down the hill here. This is through the likes of turns number 10 and 11. You really load it up on that infield straight then in towards turn 12. This is the hairpin. We see lots of overtakes. Keep it coming up the hill then. This is where you climb back up the hill through 13, through 14. Now you're changing again. You're going back downhill in towards 15. This is the tricky spot. This is where we see those overtakes coming thick and fast, but no chance there for Filippo Sala, who sits in second place right behind, out of the final chicane and then back on the start-finish straight. It is such a fast and flowing lap here, Nicole, around Campillos. It feels like there's never really a rest time for you to get through. It's constantly changing direction, left and right. The undulations up the hill, avoiding the curbs, not clipping anything. It is certainly a demanding one, and all the way throughout talking on that onboard lap, Filippo Sala was just ever so slowly starting to close that gap because it's down to 1/10 of a second.
You said about these drivers not letting off, and Filippo Sala is one of them in this race, absolutely going for it. Is he going to have a look up the inside going into turn 12? Not quite. Nice and late on the brakes though, climbs back up the hill, and what a shot there from the onboard camera. We can see how close he's actually getting to our race leader of Peschel in the Tony kart. Is he going to have a look through 15, 16? Yes, he does. Gets the move done. Nice lunge from far away. Shuts the door through turn number 17 and will head out of 18 in the race leader. What a move by Filippo Sala.
Certainly was, but I've got a feeling, Nicole, that fight's not over just yet. Sala had the pace, but certainly had to work for it, and as well, Peschel had the pace earlier on. Well, there's one of the MDCs going no further. That, unfortunately, is Aaron Garcia from Spain. He has had a moment out there, and he's also got a flat tyre as well. So that is the right-left tyre, the rear left tyre that's gone flat. So that's a second flat tyre of this one. Now, is that the beading on the side, like hitting a curb or contact that's causing that one? We don't know. So certainly some dramas happening out on track. Lap 6. Nicole, I was saying I don't think the fight is over for the lead. However, Sala somewhat is proving me wrong here because look at this down the inside. Jakub Mikalev is going to go for the move straight down the inside of turn number 3. And here comes Kaczynski as well. He's going to go through. No drama there whatsoever. And that is just showcasing that Peschel, as soon as you lose one, you're going to lose more. We go live on board with Peschel once again as he's got the likes of Daniel Kelleher all over the rear bumper. And Kelleher continues to set fastest sectors, and he's now going to go for the move as well. And this is what you see from a driver. You lose one, you lose multiple. He's getting flustered out there, is Peschel, with the pressure from these drivers behind. As soon as one gets past, the rest go through. And Louis Cochet is the next driver right on that rear tail to potentially go for the move.
Momentum track as well, Anthony. You know, you get done in one corner, you lose your revs, you lose that rhythm, and then you become vulnerable to all the drivers behind. Driver that is vulnerable on the screen then is the 206 in the Tony Kart, has been done by the 289 going through turn number 12. Great move, you know, not a single bit of kind of no overthinking from these drivers. They see it and they go for it. Back on board then with Jindřich Peschel, under pressure now by the Ward driver in the 214, of course, both running the same machinery, both on OTK karts. You can expect them to be set up pretty similarly. Something that we haven't seen, Anthony, you know, these drivers, you'd expect heading into the first corner maybe for things to open up and drivers to have a look, but you know, they come down the straight and hit the limiter so early that for the first kind of bit of this track, you don't see much go on, do you?
You don't, and again, that is purely because they're just trying to climb the hill here. Like you say, 15 meters of elevation change over the course of the lap. These karts have got to be geared so carefully to make sure they can actually get the waft up the hill, per se. So they've got to make sure they can sort that one out. Here we go then, down the inside, wasting no time whatsoever. And this is Louis Cochet, Joseph Smith, all making these moves in the background, but Daniel Kelleher getting the move done initially on Kaczynski and now moving up into third place. Kaczynski has Cochet all over that rear bumper now as well as they exit out of 16, 17 and 18 at the end of this lap. Smith is right there as well in tow, and they are breaking away nicely through the field. Defensive line now for Daniel Kelleher. He's got himself up into third place, but he's thinking, can I hold on to this third place? Because the pace has been good, but these drivers are also on a really good pace. Kaczynski now is losing out on these places left, right and centre. Cochet goes through, and now Joseph Smith has the chance as well.
Joseph Smith dropped back slightly on earlier on in this race, didn't he, Anthony? You know, just couldn't quite get things going, but it's back up in the fight.
Certainly is. On to lap number 9 now, race nearing its conclusion here. And Smith still just on that rear bumper now is going to have to deal with the rest as well, because Smith is having to deal with Sebastiano Pavan. Now Pavan, former Tony Kart factory driver, now running with the 14, the satellite team, as the direction change there as we go on board. Peschel having to deal with Roland Cooklane just behind for the Rolling Motorsport team. He's also got the energy course of Paul Andriotis all over the rear bumper, but Smith has had a moment there because he's just sailed past him through turn 18. So Joseph Smith clearly having a moment out of that final chicane, and now has dropped down a smattering of positions. There is Cochet battling with Daniel Kelleher. Now he's just got through into third place on this final lap. All the meanwhile, Filippo Sala and Jakub Mikulev have driven away pretty calmly here, Nicole.
It's a Friday, but then just like nice bit of a Sunday drive, you know, in a rhythm, driving around. Filippo Sala there on your screen, had a look behind just to see how far behind Mikulev was. You know, he's settled, he's calm, he's going to know it's unlikely that a move is going to be on from that far away. Nice work there for Filippo Sala.
It certainly is indeed, and we will keep an eye on it, watching the laps. I mean, his style here just looks so smooth. He's not over-driving the kart there, looking pretty calm and comfortable. Heading to the line then, Filippo Sala is going to claim his first win of the weekend. He was in a good mood this morning when I spoke to him. He'll be in a better mood now, across the line ahead of Jakub Mikulev finishing in P2. His best result of the weekend as well. Louis Cochet finishing in third place. He can be delighted with that one. That is also his best result of the weekend as well. Daniel Kelleher finishing in P4 ahead of Kaczynski, Pavan and Peschel. Roland Cooklane from Joseph Smith, Paul Andriotis at the end of that one, finishing in P10. One driver we didn't really speak about much in that one, Fausto Anado from Argentina, from DPK Racing Team, 11th place, 11 places gained. A superb drive from the Argentine. But Filippo Sala of Italy can be happy with that first win of the weekend. There's a look at the full results on your screen. Francois Cadal finishing in P12 ahead of Alexander Chartier. Then it's Zach Green from Makar Savalev, Efrem Dudanov from Bernardo Benaldi, and Maximilian Rafalek rounding out the top 18 on circuit. Oscar Gallen from Zadamat Soy, Franciszek Siedzielski from Dean Pedersen, Roman Russell, Jon Helder, Amikari Osman from Peter Stiller, Arthur Huang, Matt Corby, and Marco Gas. These were the retirements at the end of this race. Matt Corby and Marco Gas, not sure what happened to them on the end of that race, but they both retired as well. Aaron Garcia, Lev Krutulov, and Mariano Alatorre, all retirements from the race as well. So only 27 karts out of the 32 finishing that senior qualifying heat, C versus E. We will see those groups out a little bit later on today. Well, they will make their way back to Park Ferme as they sort themselves out. There you can see some of the drivers getting themselves sorted out for later on. There's Ella Hakkinen on your screen there, and having a good weekend so far is Ella in the junior category. Good season as well elsewhere in the academy programs for the Champions of the Future as well. So it's all over the world at the moment racing. But like we were saying, those next races coming up thick and fast. Groups A and D will be the next out for the juniors. But let's take a look at the highlights from that race. And for Peschel at the beginning of that one, no real dramas. I thought that was going to be a lights to flag for Jindra Peschel after results from yesterday, a win and a third. Today, just not getting the result there. Here was the start live on board from the rear, and you could just see how close you have to be. Jakub Mikulev utilising that inside line, and Sala dropping down to third place right at the get-go. It'd be later on that Sala was able to fight back into the race lead and getting away. Now, was this Mariano Alatorre at the start? The answer to that is yes. So that was down the hill in towards turn number 9 that moment had happened, and that is an unfortunate one for Alatorre, especially after just fitting a brand new set of boots on the left-hand side. So that is not the start they would have wanted. Action happened thick and fast throughout the field as well. Joseph Smith making the moves through the order. There you can see the DPK. Zach Green trying to push through, was battling away with Makar Sevelev, Dudanov as well. The Paralin was in there as well, battling away. That is FM Dudanov. Aaron Garcia, flat tyre, a couple of flat tyres there. We saw it as well, I think, for Lev Krutulov also having a puncture on circuit. So clearly something awry out there as Kaczynski started to make the moves in that second half of the race. Actually managed to get up into the top 3 at one point. This was where it all started to go wrong, though, for Yamada. Started on pole position. Jindra Peschel firstly getting past from Jakub Mikulev, then secondly from the likes of Louis Cochet later on in the lap. As you can see, a big move down the inside there for the victory lane karting driver. Joseph Smith as well. Later on, he would try and squeeze through, but he had dramas of his own. Not sure what happened to him at turn number 18, because he then started to fall down the order as the likes of Sebastiano Pavan and Roland Cooklane and Paul Andriotis all started to close in. This was trying to go for the moves there, just on that rear bumper, and you can just see here Sebastiano Pavan piling on that pressure. However, look at that nose cone there, quite the significant dent in there. It didn't look like it had dropped, Nicole, but it was certainly in a precarious position, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely was. But, you know, with the heat, the plastic is going to be a bit softer, so they don't always drop necessarily. Sometimes you do just get a bit of a dent in there.
Yeah, indeed. Well, and a mighty dent there for another one of them. Kaczynski, you can see, also rocking one of those dents. He was battling away pretty nicely with Joseph Smith. This was the moment where we saw Smith all of a sudden fall right back in the order. There he is, just suddenly appeared, no pace whatsoever. He was fighting 2 positions up the road from this moment, and then just on that dying lap, just ended up falling back in the field, dropping down 4 places, finishing in P9. But across the line, Filippo Sala, no drama whatsoever, claiming that 1 extra position. The driver who started on the front row of the grid, claiming that first qualifying heat of the weekend, and I'm sure Nicole can be delighted with that one. Next race coming up very, very soon. OK Junior qualifying heat A versus D will be heading out next on the track, and that will of course have the likes of Australia's William Kalesia, the pole sitter, outright pole sitter in the junior category, and so far his weekend has been superb. Here's what he had to say after time qualifying.
William Kalisha grabs pole in the junior category. William, the first pole of the Champions of the Future season for 2025. First pole for you this year. How do you feel?
I obviously feel great. I mean, we've been trying to get better and better with the pace. And obviously pole position is the best way to go in our group, so it can get us a good starting position for the heats. And at least now we know that our pace is good and we can have consistent pace throughout the heats and stay in top position through the intermediate standings, the IC. So yeah.
And the track conditions out there look fantastic. When you were driving round, were you aware that you'd got the pole?
Well, I felt like it was a great lap. I tried making it flawless, no mistakes. And once I crossed the line, I saw my dash, and the time I thought that I was going to be like somewhere close to being top 3. And then I came around and I saw my coach put his hand up, say P1, and obviously felt very happy at that moment.
Well done, William. Great result.
Thank you.
Well, great to chat there to William Kalisha, and proof is in the pudding. He had great pace and has continued that pace over the course of this weekend with those 2 qualifying heat wins yesterday. Drama on the pre-grid there, one kart not getting started, but let's take you through that full starting lineup then as we get sorted out. William Kalisha and Dean Hugendorn starting this one on the front row of the grid. They'll have Lucas L and Dan Alaman on row number 2. Drew Waltz and Oliver Warner go from row 3. They'll have Nikita Lumov and Kasper Reipold on row number 4. Manny Nuvolini and Wen Yabu go from row number 5. They'll have Santiago Diaz de la Vega and Henry Constant Kumpen go from row number 6. Billy Van Stuyven and Enna Pazzuto round out row number 7. They'll have Samuel Huggen and Noah Baglin rounding out row number 8.
Row number 9, we have Case Aziza, P24 yesterday, so tricky day, alongside Andrea Mani. Row number 10 is Pietro Bugotti alongside Jus Mulder. 11, we've got Daniel Kutskov alongside Levin Barbier. 12, we have Gilles Herman alongside Priam Bruno. 13 is Edward Godfroyd alongside Matty Stigson. On 14, we have the USA's Lillian Scarborough alongside Zavray Dodowski. 15 is Nathan Kappen alongside Angelina Simmons. And rounding out your grid is Endo Arata.
Well, let's see what is going to be happening over the course of this next 8-lap race. We haven't seen too many big movers through the field here, and that can be put down to the fact of how flowing this circuit is. Like I say, we did a track walk, Nicole. The main thing we pointed out is that there's not very many heavy braking zones here to really pile it on. Yes, okay, you have them into 15 and 16. You have it into turn 12 as well. But that's about it for the heavy braking zones. You've got the heavy braking zone down in towards turn 10 and 11, but that's such a single file run through there that if you try go for the move, it's just going to end you crashing, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously the first part of the track is an uphill climb as well, other than when we go into turn 6 and 7. So that part of the circuit almost it's not impossible, but it's a lot harder to do. It's more so in the corners where we go back down the hills or on flatter corners like the last sector of 16, 17 that we see more of it go on.
Yeah, certainly so. And there's always that fear of if you try go for the move up the hill, you lose the back end or anything, then when it happens, you lose all your momentum and then you're flooded by the pack behind who are all still going full chat. Here we go then, past the red line at the bottom end of the circuit. This is where they should be 2x2 rolling start formation. William Kalisha and Dean Hugendorn on the front row of this grid. Both of them having pretty decent results here. Kalisha with the 2 wins, Dean Hugendorn with the 2nd and the win as well. Let's see what happens as we enter into the tram lines. Lights are not out. I believe they are going around again. Another false start today, Nicole. And not what we want to see from these drivers too many times, because again, it just extends their race a little more. They've got to burn everything off a little bit more, keep the temperatures up as high as they can, but not what we want to see. I think what that is now, false start number 6 of the day already.
Yeah, and obviously from driver perspective, when you've got to keep doing false starts, your mentality, you break that bit of concentration because you're like, oh, we go in, you're fired up, the adrenaline's going, and then it's no. You've got to go round again.
Yeah, it is always one of those things. But I've interviewed drivers in the past, Nicole, where I've said, look, you know, in these sort of, when we've had like red flag situations where the race has been stopped and everything like that, then you speak to them and just say, you know, how is your mentality? You know, you've just gone from a racing situation to all of this. And then their usual response is, I don't, yeah, it's fine, I crack on, I get on with it. So, you know, it's one of those. For some drivers, they have a thought process to go behind it. Some of them are just like, I'm not really that bothered. Well, let's just restart this and get going. So it's one of those driver mentalities. Right then, here we go then. Second time is, well, not a charm, but let's see what happens. As there you can see, the air temperature has shot up now, 19 degrees. A lovely day in the south of Spain. Into the tram lines. This looks good, and it is good. We are racing, and it's a great switch over from the track there for Campillos, but almost gave up his inside line to Lucas Els there, who managed to squeeze his way through into third place there. A nice start. Dean Hugendorn has held on to second place. He managed to sweep it round the outside. You can see the two Tony karts in the background as well there. Ward Racing, and I think Nikita Lubomov, who's had a brilliant start as well, has moved up several positions right at the get-go. But crucially at the front, it's Campillos, Hugendorn and Tell. Still 1, 2, 3. You can see the 57 there of Drew Waltz, World Kart Republic. The American driver is up into P4 and is looking to latch onto the back of this train.
Drew Waltz, brother of Devin Waltz, they've moved over to the KR, there for the lead. That was Dean Hugendorn, the number 56, getting the move done on William Campillos. Nice late on the brakes and just slot back in straight away. No momentum lost. There we go then, who we were just talking about, Drew Waltz, having a look up the inside, couldn't quite commit to getting it done on the victory lane driver, but Drew Waltz moved over to the KR team for 2025 and looking a lot stronger already than he did in 24.
Indeed, Lucas Els not giving away that position is the Frenchman, stays in third place. There is your points at the moment as it stands. Illy Christian still leading that one with 3 wins out of 3. Campillos, though, who also had 2 wins out of 2 earlier on, is looking to see if we can try and get that one back, as we're 3 wide in the background there. That's when Sturven, Herman and Case Aziz are in around 13th, 14th and 15th place, having a brilliant little scrap there. Yeah, William Campillos is the only other driver right now who has been close enough to Illy Christian, but being there in second place, not where he wants to be now. He's going to lose out in his first race here, and I can imagine he's going to want to fight back in this one, but the gap is always increasing now. It's up to 0.3 of a second, but he's so much later on the brakes down into that final corner, and he's just thinking, right, let's go for the move. This is all kicking off here, though, as well. Dan Anaman and Nikita Lubomov going absolutely wheel to wheel there through the final corner, but now they get split by the victory lane driver, who pushes his way in the middle of the two of them. Lucas Ellis now in a prime position. This, though, here, Hugendorn, Campillos, this fight's not over yet, Nicole.
Definitely not. You know, Hugendorn, really strong move to get into the race lead, but, you know, William Campillos is there. He's got a fastest lap now. He's clearly faster than Dean Hugendorn, and he's definitely, once he gets up behind him, is going to have a look. There they go then, heading towards turn number 12, where Hugendorn got the move done previously. How much later is Campillos going to be on the brakes than Hugendorn? Can he close that gap up? Yes, he does. He gets closer and closer each corner. Let's see, is he going to have a look into the prime overtaking spot of turn number 16? That corner is really wide entry. You know, you go into 15, you use all of the track, you use the curb as a reference point. Didn't have a look going into there, but Campillos is definitely going to have another go at some point during this race. Gap then, 0.23 of a second, 0.2 splits the two drivers out on the front, but they are just driving away from the rest of the field. You know, they lead the way by just under a second from your man in third, which is the KR driver, Drew Waltz.
It certainly is, and I suspect here, Nicole, that Campillos is going to wait a little bit in this race. He's matching the pace with Hugendorn. He's not falling off too much from the back of him, but he doesn't want to rush an overtake here, because all that will do is just lose the time that they've gained to try and break away. Like you say, Drew Waltz there in third place is only around 0.9 of a second further back. But crucially, I'm just keeping an eye on their sector times here. And, well, they're running at exactly the same pace. It's like identical. Hugendorn in the first sector did a 19.9 for Campillos, and was a 19.9 for Drew Waltz as well. So they're all completely matching the pace through sector 1. But this time, Hugendorn in sector 2 pulled the pin a little bit, went purple in sector 2 and pushed away.
On your screens then as well, Anthony, I don't know if you've noticed, but the number 70, Campillos, looks like he's under investigation.
Yes, he is indeed. William Kalija is under investigation, and we just saw Dan Alaman go for the move there. Now up into P5, he's got past Nikita Yumamov as well. So battles still happening thick and fast throughout the field. So one driver I want to talk to has not had the start I think they would have wanted to this weekend when you move from China for the World Racing Team. Down to 20th place at the start of this one, as Henry Constant Kupin unfortunately receiving a warning flag in this race. Other drivers who have had good starts to this one though, Jill Herman for the VDK Racing Team, 9 places gained and is now inside the top 15 in P14 as we continue this battle here. I'm watching this fight and Kalija looks just so much more confident on the brakes there and he goes for it. I was thinking he was looking a little bit more confident in that final sector. I didn't think that fight was over, and it certainly wasn't. With that, Kalija now retakes the lead of the intermediate classification. Remember, he was the pole sitter from qualifying. He was the fastest of all the juniors in time qualifying, and he retakes the lead despite the fact that he's joined on points with the lead, Christian.
Yeah, I'm sure William, fastest lap there again on your screen with the 1 minute 2.507. He'll be absolutely loving it if he can get 3 out of 3. What more could you want? Driver to mention then that's maybe not had the start of this week that they would have liked is Noah Baglin. He sat there in P12, has just dropped a position. Noah not quite been where you would expect him to be.
Big send down the inside for Hugendorn there through 14 and 15. Not going to make it work, so Kalija and Hugendorn's pace is matched right now, and these two are going to go to the end of this race. They haven't got long left of it, and now with that move, Kalija's going to have to start to think, right, defensive line now, as Hugendorn's going to look to the inside here at turn number 1. And, okay, Kalija backed out of that one. He braked a little bit earlier there. Just think, right, I don't want any part of that one. I will take a second place. You clearly want the win. I'm not going to risk going all the way from potentially winning to at the back of the field. Yeah,
we haven't really seen many overtakes into that first corner, have we, Anthony? These drivers are on the limiter so early down the straight that it makes it hard work to pass like that. But we saw Kalija just backed out of it. He knew that Hugendorn was just too close up his inside and let him have it.
Yeah, certainly so. But there you have it, confirmed. Our new race leader, Dean Hugendorn, then going to the end of this race, and I think that's a smart drive from Kalija there. He's just thinking, right, he clearly wants that place. I'm not going to give it up, but it's all gone wrong here, though, unfortunately. Yeah, is out of the race, and the 106 of Levin Babia as well, going no further, and they've had a moment, and that is all done. From 27th and 28th, they've dropped to now 30th and 31st, and that is down the hill. That's towards turn 10 and 11 on the lap, so big shame for them. Yellow flags out in there then, and these drivers are going for it.
Kalija just got it wrong going out of that corner, clipped that curb ever so slightly. It was just sideways going through turn number 7. That was a close one, Anthony.
It was an ambitious move to the inside if he was going to try and make it pull off there. The yellow flags have been cleared through this sector there. Great work from the marshals to do that. But that was just that last attempt from Kalija. That was thinking, right, can I get it done down the inside here? The answer to that is no, and here it is again from the outside. Just locks up the rear, goes sideways, and you can imagine Hugendorn was probably thinking, what on earth just hit me there? So big change for them, and Levin Babia under investigation for that incident at turn number 11 on that previous lap. Here's another lunge, though, from Kalija, and again, another last-ditch attempt for the Australian. The checker flag is out, and it's going to go the way of Hugendorn, but William Kalija there, his dander was up right there, and he was thinking, I am going for this move, and, well, it just didn't work out for him there. So Kalija's going to lose out on his lead of the intermediate classification only by 6 points. He'll be joined now on points with the man who's just beaten him on circuit, Dean Hugendorn. Well, a very, very shaky end there, and well, for Kalija, that's certainly showcasing that he means business this weekend and not wanting to back down from a fight.
He means business, he tried it once, didn't get it right, and the confidence to try it again was quite impressive, but he's got to be wary now, heading into the rest of the heats. He didn't pull off either of those, wondering if as he heads into the rest of the day, maybe he backs off slightly after those two almost very big mistakes. There on your screen then is the classification after that heat. We've got Dean Hugendorn with a P1. Shortly behind was William Kalisha. Drew Waltz from Lucas Sale, Dan Alleman, Manny Nuvolini. We then have Kasper Reipold, Lubomov, Santiago Diaz, Oliver Warner, Gilles Herman, Noah Baglin, Case Aziza, Billy Van Serven, Samuel Hugon, Andrea Mani, Daniel Kutskov, Wenyabu, Arata Endo, Enia Pizzuto, Jus Mulder, Priam Bruno, Henry Kumpen, Matthias Dixon, Pietro Bugatti, Joseph Kappen, Zavray Dudovsky, Edward Godfroyd, and Angelina Simmons. And 2 drivers that didn't finish were Lillian Scarborough and Levin Barbier.
Well, that is a big shame for them because that had happened on the penultimate lap of the race. So clean-up operation underway then from the marshalling team for the Ricky Flynn Motorsport driver and the Babier Racing driver from Belgium. Not making it to the end. There again, just in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can see it as we see the live pictures from Parc Fermé and the pre-grid there, that Ili Christian holding on to the lead of the points then from William Kalisha, Dean Hugendorn from Will Green, Iskandar Sofakari and Luca Sells, who now rounds out the top 6 out there. Bosco Arias and Henry Domain 7th and 8th in the points. Let's take a look at the highlights from this one. Interesting start for this. Kalisha almost looked like he was going to give up the lead there as Luca Sells tried to go down the inside. Later that lap, he did lose out in the lead. Dean Hugendorn getting through, but they stayed very, very close over the course of that race. Drew Waltz started to make the moves in the early stages as well. The American pushing his way through the field and ending it in his best result of the weekend for the American. He's now had a P5, a P4, and now a P3. 2 of the Tony Kart drivers having a bit of a battle. Dan Alleman battling away with Nikita Lubomov, of course, Lubomov with the factory team, and Dan Alleman with the Ward Racing team. So you've got factory and satellite Tony Karts there battling wheel to wheel. This was Kalisha retaking the lead through turn number 17. The same corner, he tried it on the last lap to get the lead. That was the lead change back for Hugendorn, and Kalisha just giving it up, and you can see the frustration at the end of that race for Lillian Scarborough and for Levin Barbier. Unfortunately, not getting it to the end of that race. And then these last 2 attempts from William Kalisha, risky moves on that last lap that didn't work out for him. And it is understandable for him to go for those. He wanted to maintain that lead in the intermediate classification. He does lose that now. But there is still plenty of racing to go for that gap to change once again. We head now back to the seniors qualifying heat A versus D, heading out next, 10 laps, 16-kilometer race distance. And now this time it is Christian Costoya from Spain, who is the next driver who has, over the course of this weekend, delivered some solid results. However, he is there. He's just a little further back in the grid spot there. He's hiding in the shade of the pre-grid there, so he's not right on his spot. And that is very smart because he's giving himself extra space to get going. But time qualifying, we caught up with Christian Costoya. Here's what he had to say when he put an outright pole in TQ.
Christian Costoya has grabbed a pole position. Christian, great result there for you. I don't believe, however, though, even though you are from Spain, you've not driven this track since you were 8 years old. Can you tell me about what it's like to be quick around here?
Yeah, it's a good thing to be quicker in your country. It's a very good track, I think. I live quite far from here, like 1,000 kilometers from here. But anyway, I'm fast on this track. I think maybe I can do a little bit better on the qualifying, but let's see. The important is on Saturday.
And you were the only driver in that group to get into the 59s. Can you tell me about that fast lap? What was it like to drive?
Yeah, it was good actually. When I saw the time, I thought it was going to be more slow, but it was a very good lap. These tires also are going to drop down a bit, so you need to manage quite a lot the laps before. And yeah, actually a good lap.
Great qualifying session from you. Well done, Christian.
Thank you.
Well, great to chat to Christian Costoya there, and to not race here since you were 8 years old and then to go and put it on pole position in a completely different class from when you were last here is quite the good going. And he maintained that pace over the course of yesterday. 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2. Can he claim a third today? Well, someone who's going to make that impeccable impeccably difficult for him. Nicole is starting alongside him. Thibaut Ramekers, the Belgian, second and third yesterday in the heat. Quick pilot starting alongside him.
Quick indeed, you know, was in the championship fight last year. Thibaut, he's one of the ones to beat, definitely. He's one of the ones that's come into this year, and you're looking at to be in the fight again for the championship.
How about that second row, though? 2 junior drivers last year stepping up into the seniors. One of them both of them actually world champions. One in 2023, one in 2024.
And both backed by Formula One teams as well. You know,
indeed.
you've got a Mercedes driver and a McLaren driver.
Oh, that's exciting, isn't it? There we go. Row number 3, Lewis Werrell and Silianos Kolovos as well. A very packed group for them. Silianos Kolovos, though, the Greek driver has had some difficulties over the course of this week. An 11th and a 19th in those first qualifying heats. That's not the start you would want.
No, definitely not. And as you head into the Saturday, you know, this is crunch time. You know, a lot of drivers at this point, they're thinking, you know, you could be going home by the end of the day. So this is your chance now to give it everything.
Yeah, it certainly is. You don't want to get, well, okay, so you get the qualifying heats. We always say, you know, one bad result is it's bad. You don't want that, and it can put you back in the order, but it's fixable. 2 bad results.
With this amount of drivers, you're done.
Yeah, you've really got to think about what you've got to do later on. Right then, engines are firing up. Let's take you through that full starting lineup then. Senior OK, qualifying heat A versus D, and it starts with Christian Costoya and Thibaut Ramekers on row number 1. Dries van Langendonk and Kenzo Craigie on row 2. They'll have Lewis Werrell and Silianos Kolovos on row number 3, rounding out the top 6. Victor Gustafsson, another former world champion, but in the KZ category, starts this one on row number 4. He's joined by Oliver Rasmussen alongside Oliver Kinmark, and Vladimir Vanikov will be starting on row number 5. They'll have James Anagnosiadis and Thomas Prader on row number 6. Row 7 sees Boris Lysen and Gino Rocchio, and then it'll be Eloy Gonzalez and Noah Wolf on row number 8. Row number 9 onwards, missing a few drivers, Nicole.
Yeah, we've got Luke Cordner alongside Sebastian Korpeng, who we think has not got to the grid. Row number 10, we have new to Kart Republic, Klara Kowalczyk and Nikita Nikishov, but again, we think that he could be missing from this race. 11, we have Jason Bralick alongside Bertram Sash. 12 is Marcus Shilkunas alongside Sky Parker, who is backed by the all brand new More Than Equal program backed by David Coulthard. Row number 13 is Georgi Sazov alongside Sanan Z. 14 is Marcus Juncher alongside Aloy Girardet. 15 is Mark Brovko with Lucas Geisen. And on row 16, rounding out your grid, is Mattis Umetri alongside Daniel Hiritse, who is definitely going to need a good race here after some DNF yesterday.
Yes, indeed. Confirmation then. Oh dear, and we've lost another one out on
Noah
track.
Wolf.
Is that Noah Wolf out on track, the Van Amersfoort Racing driver? I think it is, you know, and that is a big shame for him. Out of the race then is the Briton. He'll go no further in this one. He was due to start in that mid-pack, and clearly something that's just not gone well for him. Can confirm Korpeng and Nikita Nikishov are not out there. They have not taken the start of this race, so not sure what has happened to them, but hopefully all is okay. So that means that we're already down to 29 runners in this race, with those 3 drivers either not starting or out on the formation lap. But the rest of the field will get going. Costoya is on a charge so far this weekend. 2 for 2 in those qualifying heats. He has 100 points to his name. This is his 3rd qualifying heat. If he can get the win on this one, as you can see there, a win would give him the intermediate classification lead ahead of Joe Turney, who's on 144 points. Now let's see what happens here, because Thibaut Ramekers could certainly make it very interesting for him, starting alongside, as well as Van Langendonk, who sits in the Prema team, but in the McLaren colours onto the start line. Let's see what happens. Big gap in the field there, of course, with those 2 drivers missing, but let's see what's going to happen as we get going for this race. It's a brilliant start for the inside row, and Ramekers has been caught napping a little bit there on the get-go, and he's swapped back down to the pack. He's around about P5, P6 now as they go through the climb uphill. 2 of the Bills absolutely side by side there. That looks like Vladimir Vanikov battling away with the likes of Eloy Gonzalez. So one of them has had a brilliant start in the early stages of that race as the 2 teammates go wheel to wheel. Kenzo Craigie and Van Langendonk switching places in the background there. No, that's completely false. It's not. It's Lewis Werrell who's managed to get his way through as well. So Werrell's up to 3rd place now Rameka's down the order. Van Langendonk, though, is charging in second place behind Costoya.
Rameka's down the order, but so is Kenzo Craigie. You know, I think they both just got caught a little bit asleep on that start there, Anthony. No doubt they will both come back through the pack, but there on your screen we have the Paralin driver of Christian Costoya still leading the way. I think we've just had a move there for P3. See if that's correct as they head over the line. Yes, it was Gustafsson. Again, he did this in his heat yesterday, up by 4 positions within the first lap, really showing us that World Championship winning, you know, style of driving.
Yeah, certainly so, and showcasing that these starts are one to learn for the team. So Gustafsson up to third, then those 4 places gained. He's on the charge towards Van Langendonk and Costoya. Werrell sitting in P4 just behind that one as the train slides down the hill here. Kinmark, Ramekes, Craigie, Kolovos and Ignatiadis all in that battle. Ivanikov there as well as here comes Ramekes. Yeah, down the inside. Nice little overtake there through past Oliver Kinmark. Not wasting any time, back on that recovery drive.
Yeah, Ramekes, like we said a minute ago, he did get caught, you know, a little bit asleep in the early stage, but no doubt he will come back through the field very, very shortly. Those kind of moves, though, Anthony, that just shows experience and confidence. To get the car stopped like that, not roll off the brake at all, no slide, just slot yourself in. Perfect.
Yeah, it was very, very nicely done there, but let's see what happens then as we go on to the next lap here. Lap number 3, Rameka's brilliant exit there. It looked like Kinmark is going to lose out on more here because down the inside goes Kenzo Craigie, and now that's kick-starting a chain reaction here. It's all kicking off now in the background there. You've got the likes of Kolovos pushing his way through, but he's going to lose out positions. Vladimir Ivanikov lost out on the most there. He tumbled down the order, but there you can see the Birilat moving through, trying to claim up those positions, and now Kinmark has been given just a little bit more breathing space here as James Ignatiadis is on the charge through. There he is on that Prema card, another one of the Mercedes-backed driver who's got an almighty dent in that nose cone, though, from the start of that race, so he will need to be careful as this goes through. Eyes on the front, though. Nicole, Christian Costoya, purple sector 1 and 2, is breaking away from the rest now.
Yeah, expected Van Langendonk maybe to stay behind Christian Costoya for a little bit longer, but like you said, purple sector 1 and 2 and the fastest lap throughout there. Absolutely rapid times from him, just pushing forward, using all of the track without making sure though that he doesn't fall off. You know, there's certain sectors within it that it's easy to almost get it wrong, use too much rumble or end up going out too wide, especially on these tyres where you've got so much grip.
No, exactly that. I think there's been some more dramas out there for other drivers as well. Georgi Zazov and Lucas Gayson, unfortunately, are not rotating around the lap anymore, and I think they've had a spill on the track. We are on lap number 4 of this race right now, and it's still a commanding lead for the rest of the drivers, but still Costoya looking in control of this race. Really impressed with Van Langendonk, though, as he's pushing his way through. But let's just see what happens then as this race progresses. We are nearer the halfway point of this one, and there is your race leader. Across the line he goes. The gap just about 9/10 of a second from the rest of the group. But we'll keep a very close eye on that one. Gustafsson still there in P3 as well. He's pushing his way through nicely in this order. He's cleared away from Werrell behind. He's not under any pressure from P4. He's just going to continue this charge now towards Van Langendonk. So we'll just have to see what these sector times look. And looking at the sector times as well, well, Van Langendonk is faster in sector 1, the same as Costoya. He is continuing that charge. Purple in sector 1 on this lap, so he's utilising that clear air in front. Not having too much drama. There you can see Van Langendonk, and for him, he's even himself got quite a significant little dent in that front nose cone. He will need to be careful there as the train goes through. You can see how it closes up quite nicely in the background there. You can see other drivers battling away. You saw Kolovos on the back of Rasmussen there. That was a very close little fight. There is Victor Gustafsson, former KZ world champion in previous years. Double duties over the course of this season, racing and helping develop the young drivers in the CRG team over the course of this season, and also racing his own in the OK category and in the KZ class as well. So it's going to be a very, very busy year for the driver from Sweden. And Victor Gustafsson doing the brilliant job there in P3. Is being closed in though. Werrell in a close fight with the rest as that battle ahead and behind closes in as well. We'll keep a close eye on Rasmussen and Kolovos. They're still battling 10th and 11th out there. And there is that fight. You can see them pushing their way through. And all the meanwhile, it's a tense moment for this group as they're losing touch with the drivers in front now. It's starting to get into this formation where you get these long little battles, you get these long trains where they just can't find the legs at this point. They've got like the maximum they can out of the kart and just trying to think of, you know, where can we save tyres, where can we save the cut for later on in this weekend. And for the time being, just all thinking what they can do. So runners at this moment then, Kostoja still leads from Van Langendonk, Gustafsson from Werrell, Ramekers, Craigie, Kinmark. As we watch this battle here on your screen, this is Eloy Gonzalez and Anagnostiades just further up ahead. This is a little further back in the order now as well. Vladimir Ivanikov battling with Kolovos and Thomas Pradir just behind. All of these drivers are down in the order at the moment. One driver though who's having a good race just behind that is Klara Kowalczyk as well for the Kart Republic team. 4 places gained, same as Jason Bralick. Mark Brovko as well having a good little fight as down the inside, a nice change there for Boris Lysen getting past Thomas Pradir. So again, those overtakes happening thick and fast through this field. Lap number 8 we are on now. And you can see the pressure starting to build here for Kinmark, and the pressure is released. Through goes Anagnostiades, and now through will go Eloy Gonzalez. So Kinmark, again, just at that top section of the circuit, you get squeezed out on one part, you lose the momentum in the second half, and well, I've got to say, Anagnostiades and Gonzalez made that look a little bit easy there on Kinmark, and I'm not sure Kinmark will like this too much. You will think he'll need to dig deep and fight back right now, and he stays on that rear bumper. He's not lost any real momentum there. Still on the back of Eloy Gonzalez. If we can try and follow him through, might be able to stick with these two as they push through. And a nice change there. Moves them up to 7th and 8th now on the charge towards fellow teammate for Anagnostiades, Kenzo Craigie, who's a little further up the road. There he is, just in the foreground of your screen, going through turn number 1. And Kenzo Craigie all on his own a little bit there, the former world champion of last year, 2024 for the juniors. In the meanwhile, still having a good little run. Still only at the 27 runners in this one. The only 3 retirements in the race, Zazov Kaysen and Wolf at the start of the race. Marcus Shulgunas has made the moves up into 18th place as well. He's pushed himself up the order in that mid-pack. Shulgunas up 5 places now into P18. Mark Brovko now down to 19th place as Matis Omer as well, getting past Aloy Girardet in the background. There is the drivers there, Georgi Zazov and Lucas Kaysen. Unfortunately, the AKM and the KBK driver not finishing this race, and for them, a retirement, not what you want to see. And of course, we saw it for Wolf as well, not what you want to see at all. There, though, on your screen, is your current race leader, Christian Kostoja. Not said much about him apart from the start. Clear now 1.2 seconds from the rest of the field. A calm and controlled drive for him as he will take the lead of the intermediate classification points. He's looking for his 3rd win out of 3. So far undefeated for the young Spaniard who had put it on pole position yesterday in time qualifying. A superb drive so far this weekend from him. And we'll just have to wait and see later on today whether or not he can maintain that momentum over the course of the next few races. There you can see the gaps, how much it's been opened up there. Van Langendonk all on his own in P2. Gustafsson, a calm and controlled race in 3rd place also. But out of the final corner, it's 3 for 3 so far for Kostoja. He claims it then. Leader of the intermediate classification, 150 points ahead of Dries Van Langendonk, Victor Gustafsson. Thibaut Ramekers finishing in P4 ahead of Lewis Werrell. Kenzo Craigie from James Anagnostiades, Eloy Gonzalez from Oliver Kinmark. Kolovos rounding out the top 10 then as the field make their way back to Parc Fermé. A long old lap for these drivers to get round. It was 1.5 kilometre race distance after the checkered flag, all the way back to Parc Fermé. But for Christian Costoya, there on your screen, a solid start. We will not see Group A back out until at least around quarter to 3 o'clock for the seniors for Group A again. So it's going to be a while till we see them. There is a look at your full results. Oliver Rasmussen finishing 11th place from Thomas Pradir, Boris Lysen from Klara Kowalczyk, Jason Bralek from Vladimir Ivanikov, Gino Rocchio from Marcus Shilkunas, who ran out the top 18, Mark Brovko from Bertram Sass, Stunner Z from Luke Corner, Alois Girardet, Sky Parker, Mattis Almer, and Marcus Juncher, Daniel Aretsi rounding out the 27 finishers in that race. Georgi Zazov, Lucas Gayson retiring, the same for Noah Wolf, and the two non-starters, Sebastian Korpeng and Nikita Nikishov. The highlights from that race, well, this was the moment, oh dear. Now, what was happened there? Was that an engine seizure for Noah Wolf? Because that, out of nowhere, just locked up and stopped out on track. So that is a complete engine failure for Wolf at the start of that one. But the race continued at the beginning of that one. Costoya, no drama for him. Lights to flag for the Spaniard, breaking away from the rest. Ramaker's not getting the start he wanted. He had to fight back through the order. Could only get back up well, not a good position at all for him. He would get back to P11 because he's just picked up a post-race 5-second time penalty as well. So Ramaker's not the results he would have wanted at the end of that one. Good little battles happening thick and fast. Oliver Rasmussen pushing his way through there. The treble 2 battling away nicely. There was good overtakes as well from Thomas Pradir, pushing his way through as well on that Tony card as well. As the overtakes happen thick and fast in the background, there you can see Rasmussen losing out as well at some points of the race. But to the end, no drama for Costoya. That is a calm and controlled qualifying heat for the young Spaniard, as he maintains that intermediate classification lead. Well, there you have it for seniors A and D, and groups A and D. They are done and dusted. We are down to the last two races then before the lunch break, and it kickstarts with OK Junior qualifying heat B versus E. That'll be heading out next onto the circuit, and this will have the likes of Henry Domain and Girardello starting on the front row of the grid for this one. Now, we saw Domain out earlier on for Groups B right at the start of the day, but we didn't get to hear from him from time qualifying at the beginning of the day. We might get to hear from him now, but he will start this one on pole position. There, the young Briton going second fastest overall in time qualifying yesterday. But the young man has had some tough qualifying heats, but here's what he had to say after time qualifying.
In our second group of junior qualifiers, Henry Domain grabs P1. Henry, great result for you, but the times out there looked a little bit slower than what we've seen in practice. What was it like on the track?
Yeah, I mean, the track has gripped up a lot more than from practice, so obviously it's not going to be as fast because the kart is a bit more stuck to the floor, but yeah, it's still a good result and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, definitely something to be happy about. And then going into the heats today, Henry, how are you feeling? What's the confidence level like?
Yeah, I'm feeling really confident going into the heats. We'll start first in a few heats, so yeah, just have to stay in that position and try do the best job I can.
And as you go into the heats, is there anything that you do differently compared to qualifying?
Not really, just stay as focused as possible and yeah, just try and win.
Great to hear from you, Henry.
Right, thank you.
Well, again, for Henry Domain, those results being up and down. His last race earlier on, 8th place for him in that race earlier on today. So again, it's just showcasing the pace was there, but it's showing these grids are very tough to get through. Race winner in Group B earlier on, Bosco Arias of Spain, claiming that one, his first one. But there on your screen, Gioli Girardello starting it on the front row of the grid, the Italian for the Paralympic Motorsport team as well. Strong start for him over the course of this weekend, and another driver who you need to keep a very close eye on here at Campillos. His pace has been on the ball there as he's seeing him for the first time in the junior category. In 2025, he'll be starting on that front row. You can see him there just alongside. You've got the likes of Bruno Blanco and Will Green as well, second row of the grid for them, as we are moments away from starting this race that is nearing the end of the first half of the day. There is Bruno Blanco for the Parallel Motorsport team, starting relatively alongside the fellow Italian Girardello on the front row of the grid. He will have the close company, though, of Will Green alongside, and also race winner from earlier on, Bosco Arias, who is going to be starting right behind him on the grid, who will have that inside line in towards turn number 1. And we have seen those developments over the course of this one, because we have seen the inside and the outside line work for the field. Sometimes we see the drivers who are able to carry the pace around the outside of turn 1, but the inside always seems to work out for the likes of Domain, Blanco and Arias. That inside line should be the one we will see. Race moments away from starting. Air temp still 20 degrees out there. It's a beautiful day for racing here in Campillos in the south of Spain. But for these drivers now, it's just a case of get these wagons to the end, as of course with the points, we'll find out who is going to be finishing where at the end of today, and who makes it to those superheats, and who unfortunately has to go home as the engines fire up. Let's take you through that full starting lineup as OK Junior qualifying heat B versus E heads out onto the circuit. It is Henry Domain and Giole Girardello on row number 1. You have Bruno Branco and Will Green on row number 2. Bosco Arias and Iskender Solfakari go from row 3. They'll have Remy Samchek and Emiliano Hernandez on row number 4. Evan Purcell and Luke Tal go from row 5. They'll have Leonardo Goski and Mariano Lopez on row 6. Benjamin Magnac and Denny Babacek go from row number 7. Archie Lovett and Daniel Miron round out row number 8. They'll be joined by Roland Nagy and Tobias Jenny on the first half of the grid on row number 9. Row 10 and the top 20 will have Ludovico Mazzola and Jesse Phillips from the United Kingdom. You'll have Alex Malota and Amir Sabarov on row number 11. Row 12 sees Edward Kennedy from Canada and Alessandro Truchot of the United States of America. Jala Seya and Manuel Berguez go from row 13. They'll have Jacques Titoja and Mika Runitz on row 14. Mohamed El Bazaki and Amelia Fischer-Miska will round out the 30-cart grid on row 15. Well, we've had developments over the course of the day in this one. There is more developments as well in terms of tyres. So many drivers in this early stage of the weekend choosing to go for a brand new set on the left-hand side of the kart, and that's the common trend setter we have seen over the course of the day. For every driver we have seen put on their half a set of the weekend, they're all choosing the left-hand side of the kart, looking at the circuit. It's completely understandable why they've decided to go through that, but this is their attempt of trying to gain as many positions as they can, because they know it's getting nearer the end of their weekend. They know it's getting to that kind of cut-off point now where you want to be gaining positions and not running around in 20th, 24th place out there. You need to be gaining those places, getting up inside the top 15, maybe even the top 10, and hopefully with those fresh tyres on board, we might see some big movers in this order, but we'll let you know who has fitted those later on in the race. Eyes on board though, Bruno Blanco we go on board with, looking backwards. Driver starting in 3rd place will have a fabulous view, and he can see there the winner from last time out, Bosco Arias in the number 27. Ricky Flynn Motorsport kart pushing his way through, and he took that win earlier on. Can he do the same in this one? Domain then and Girardello on the front row of the grid. Lights are out. We are racing down in towards turn number 1 at 3 wide and straight into the lead. The two Paralins go wheel to wheel. Girardello and Blanco straight into 1 and 2, wasting no time whatsoever. But it looks like Domain has retaken that 2nd place back. Up the hill they go, and then it's still kicking off in the background there. Iskender Solfakari trying to get involved. He's gone wheel to wheel there with the number 27 of Bosco Arias, but Arias has gone backwards. The driver who won the race earlier on now is falling back in the field as there is a clear breakaway there at the front. The two Paralins and the Forza breaking away from the rest, but I think it's Girardello who leads the way from Domain, and Blanco into 3rd place. as they push their way through onto this second half of the lap, down in towards turn at number 15 and 16. This is where we see those big lunges. Bit of a defensive line there for your front man in the form of the, well actually no, that looks like a different number to me. No, it's 78, it is Girardello. Looked like the number 18 to me, but yes indeed, Girardello in the lead, and a defensive line there for the Italian on that first opening lap. And that's keeping Domain right on that rear bumper. Bruno Blanco still there, well I say on that rear bumper, maybe in the lead of this race, because Domain not wasting any time, looking a lot stronger in this qualifying heat, retakes that lead back and keeps them back in their same position. A little bit of an adjustment there for Domain as he heads down the hill. Just thinking what's going to happen, and crucially with that, Iskender Fakari has closed back in now. So the Turkish driver for Forza Racing trying to join his teammate up at the front spot there. Will Green as well, just in tow. Bosco Arias behind. Hernandez in a good position as well. Into P7. Tal in a good place as well. Here is on board with Bruno Blanco as he sends it down the inside of his teammate, Girardello, now down to third place. And the two Italians switching. And all that's going to do is bring in the fellow Forza Racing driver, the teammate of Domain of Iskender Fakari, into the fight here as they go uphill. You can see here how controlled the lap is and how fast and committed they are up the hill. Little bit of twitching there from Iskender Fakari in the background as he's going to go for the move, as drama in the background for Daniel Miron. He's out and furious, kicking the side pod there of his wagon. I say it's not fully your cart's fault, mate, but that is a disastrous for the driver from the Netherlands. He also did just fit a brand new set of left-hand tyres to his wagon, trying to gain the places. Unfortunately, those tyres will go to waste now as he's out of this race. He will have to utilise them later on. Arias with the move down the inside of Girardello. And now Girardello has tumbled down the order. He's gone to P6 now, so his Zulfikari's gone through. Green's gone through. Now Arias has gone through, and keep an eye because Hernandez also probably wants to get through as well as they go back on the start-finish straight here. Still very close then. Domain, Blanco, 1-2 from the rest of the field. What happened from the overtakes? These are the overtakes. So there's Iskender Fakari going through up at the top section at turn number 6. And it just allowed Green to get through as well. A lot of curve on that inside there. A risky overtake for Green. But he makes it work. Denny Babacek now, fastest driver out on circuit, currently in 11th place. Up 3 places, you can see him just going through in the background there. The Teps Kart livery, well, he's on the Tony Kart livery there. On the Tony Kart chassis racing with the Teps team. The satellite team doing a brilliant job so far over the course of this season with the young man. It was racing last weekend as well. Now here in Campillos for the champions of the future. There's a look at your intermediate classification as well, very briefly. Domain back at the lead of that one now, ahead of Zulfikari. Both joints on 167 points, but we are starting the next rotation of qualifying heats now. That is why he has taken the lead of that one. Of course, after the lunch break, when we see the next round of groups coming out, that will change once more. So Domain at this stage looking strong. However, well, Bruno Blanco looking a little bit stronger there up the hill. Carrying the speed, was right on that rear bumper. And now just needs to think where he wants to go for the move if he can. Gorski now with the fastest lap of the race, pushing his way through as the driver from Poland, currently circulating in 13th place. So the pace is very quick in that mid-pack because Babacek is there, Purcell is there as well. So showcasing the pace in the mid-pack certainly is the one that you want to be seeing. And actually, they are closing in the background there. They are keeping that group nice and bunched up. As they break away from the likes of Roland Nagy, Benjamin Magnac, Jesse Phillips, who have all had relatively decent races right now, but are still much further down in the order than I suspect they would like to be so far in this race. Across the line we go. We go on to lap number 6 now of 8. And Domain and Blanco maintain this gap. And Bruno Blanco, over the course of that last lap, not been faster in sector 2 and 3. It's all been sector 1 where Blanco's been able to gather pace, and that does make sense where we see those overtakes, or not overtakes, but the gaining on Domain up in towards turn number 5 and 6. Zulfikari as well, though, in this battle, has decided he wants to close in. A big check over the shoulder there for Zulfikari, just to assess where Bosco Arias is. A lot further down in the order. This is that fight, though. Bosco Arias and Will Green. All over that rear bumper is Will Green for the Kart Republic Motorsport team. Pushing his way through nicely in this order. He's only down the one spot in this one, but getting past Arias would put him back in his original spot of P4. And keeping a close eye on it, Giardello from the front row is right behind as well. He's also probably wanting to capitalize on this one as we go on to lap number 7 of this race. Time very quickly running out for both Green and Giardello. They are down in their positions, probably wanting to fight back in this one. Hernandez just behind is up in his places. He has gained the 1 spot so far in this race. He's pushed his way through nicely. Top 3, still no change. They push their way through. Phillips getting past Magnac in that last sector. Pushed himself up into 14th place now. Miguez as well past the Troja. Troja having a much better start in this one. Dramas from him earlier on in his racing. Saw him drop down the order a fair bit. And eyes on these front 2. No real changes. Domain and Blanco still 1 and 2 as they control this pace. There you can see the big gap there. That is between 13th and 14th place. Samchek at the back of the first group. Phillips leading that second group of karts. Final lap time then for these drivers. We're on to lap number 8 of this. And are we going to see Blanco go for the move on this lap? He's looking like he's got ever closer over the course of this one. But Domain maintains his composure and position at this point. Bosco Arias, fastest driver out there in P4, maintaining P4 out there as well, and is pulling away from Will Green, but eyes stay focused on this one. Big look over the shoulder from Domain. If anything, that gives the green light to Blanco to go for the move. He's on the rear bumper now as they head out of Sector 2 into the final sector then. We see the overtakes here into 15 and 16. Is Domain going to go defensive? The answer to that is yes, he does go defensive. He takes a much tighter line there into turn 16, but that was all he needed to do. Nothing to worry about here for Domain. Reclaims the intermediate classification lead at the end of that race. Ahead then of Bruno Blanco. Iskander Zulfikari maintains second in the points in this third rotation of qualifying heats. Zulfikari finishing in that P3 ahead of Bosco Arias. Will Green from Giardello. Hernandez from Lopez. Babacek from Tal round out the top 10 on circuit. But there, Henry Domain, much better result for him. That's what we expected to see after that fantastic qualifying from him. Comes away with that qualifying heat win then in Groups B versus E. Took him a while to get there, but the pace finally came to him. Domain takes it from Bruno Blanco. Iskander Zulfikari. The top 10 we've gone on. Evan Purcell finishes ahead of Leonardo Gorski. Remy Samchek from Jesse Phillips. Benjamin Magnac, Archie Lovett, Alex Malota and Tobias Sejenny. Some big movers up there. Jesse Phillips being the biggest, 6 places gained down there in the order. Amir Sabarov from Roland Nagy. Ludovico Mazzola from Manuel Miguez. Jack Ratatoja from Alessandro Truchot. Edward Kennedy from Mika Runitz, Amelia Vishamirska from Jarlath Seyer, Mohamed El-Bazaki, and the one retirement, Daniel Miron, unfortunately not finishing that race. The only retirement, the CRG driver going no further. Not sure what happened to him. He did kick the kart in frustration. Was it a breakdown or was it an accident out on track with another? Not too sure. Maybe the highlights will reveal what potentially may have happened. We'll see those out later on today for Groups B and E. One more race to go before the lunch break. It will be Groups B and E for the senior category, but before that, let's take you through some of the highlights from this one. Initially, race start here. Look at the 2 Paralins swamping Henry Domain at the start. Domain, though, was just able to squeeze his kart back down the inside, though, retaking second place up the hill. Here's the view on board with Bruno Blanco at the start of that one, showcasing that move. There you can see round the inside, but there Domain just able to keep it on the outside line and holding on to second place, and that would stay like that for the time being. Bosco Arias then getting caught out a little bit. It's Iskander Sofakari with the move down the inside. Green managing to get through as well, and the likes of Emiliano Hernandez as well from Mexico on that victory lane kart, pushing his way through in that early stages. Domain retaking the lead then later on in the race, and then you saw the two power lanes change positions. Blanco and Girardello swapping places at turn 16, moving Blanco up into second place on the charge through, as Girardello at that point was starting to fade, losing out to Zulfikari, then to Green. Later, losing out to the rest. There was Daniel Miron, unfortunately not going any further in that race. But for Domain, a solid drive to the end, and no drama for the young Briton, claiming that win at the end of that third qualifying heat, or fourth qualifying heat, I should say. Well, they'll take a short break. They'll be back out later on today. We've got around 5 or so minutes until the next qualifying heat that's going to be heading out. That will be groups B and E for the senior category. They're due to start at 12:55 out on circuit. Then we go into the lunch break. We'll have about an hour or so until we'll be back out with qualifying heats, D versus F. Then it'll be groups A versus C, D and E later on in the day, A and F, and then we round out the day with groups B and C for juniors and seniors, and that rounds out the qualifying heats, and we will find out who is going to be making it to pole position for the super heats, who will be eliminated from the rest of the weekend. We are going to take a short break though. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back with qualifying heat B versus C for senior in a few moments' time.
It makes life a lot easier out the track, so you don't have to worry about school and on-track performance and grades and all that sort of stuff.
The school understands exactly what I'm doing. They understand, how important it is for me, and the schedule that they, cater for me is really well balanced, and I really enjoy it.
It's a very fine balance between his sporting career and also his studies. He doesn't have to compromise on either. I'm very happy that Meneva has supported us through this journey.
The communication is great, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think MVA would help a lot of other races. A lot of people come into the track and asking about it. What do you do for homeschool? Like, how does it work? And I always say, Minerva, you need to contact them and get going with them, because it's made my life so much easier.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you are only just joining us, welcome one and all to the Champions of the Future, round 1 in 2025, live here from the Campillos circuit in the south of Spain. We are halfway through the qualifying heats of the morning, and it is the last race of the day before we go into the lunch break, and it is qualifying heat B versus E for the senior category. There they are, lined up, ready to go ahead of this one, and there you can see your front row, Roman Kamiab and Filippo Sala starting this one. And I've got to say, there has been some dramatic choice of tyres out for this one. So many drivers choosing to go for a new set. Some of them have staggered them. Some of them have gone for one new rear tyre. Some of them have gone for two. keeping them on one side. We've got drivers going for the left-hand side. We've got some drivers going for the right-hand side. It's a mess, really, on this grid. But there are so many new tyres out there. So it's getting, it's getting to that stage of a weekend where drivers are really starting to think, yeah, okay, we've not had the results here. We need to get these tyres on board. We need to try and push up as much as we can, or whether or not it's just that they're getting to that stage. A lot of rubber has gone down on the circuit. There's a very clear rubbered in line out on track. It's quite warm out there as well, 20 degrees. As we see the 1 minute board going up in the sky there with the our pre-grid officer, Ross Upton, doing a brilliant job there at the start. But still, very tricky stuff then for the drivers with these tyre changes, because of course they're all thinking, what side's going to work best for us? There you can see, sun shining, and some of the people watching from the sidelines enjoying some of those rays. A nice siesta at this point of the day here in Spain as it nears the lunch break. But Roman Kamiab, I was saying, starting this one on the front row of the grid. A reminder of their racing earlier on. Groups B and F, Roman Kamiab having a relatively decent race earlier on, but we'll focus now on what is going to be happening in this one as he starts it on the front row of the grid. Joe Turney took the win earlier on as well on track. A calm race for Joe Turney as he just pushed it through the field from the second row of the grid. He'll be joined by Daniel Kelleher alongside as well as the engines fire up. These drivers make their way out onto the circuit. We'll quickly take you through a full starting lineup as the mechanics all get into shot there and in the way. But let's go through then that grid. Roman Kamiab and Filippo Sala starting this one on the front row of the grid. Joe Turney and Daniel Kelleher on row number 1. They'll have Jensen Burnett and Efim Dudanov on row 3. Scott Marsh and Louis Cochet go from row 4. They'll have Alpak Soy and Matt Corby on row number 5. Row number 6 sees Leo Nilsson and Francois Cadal. They'll have Davide Battaro and Bernardo Benoldi on row number 7. Chiara Batig and Alexander Chartier go from row number 8. They'll have Zach Drummond and Dean Pedersen on row number 9. Ella Hakkinen and Lev Krutilov go from row 10. They'll have Jakub Kamenek and Fastao Anado on row 11. Boluet and Peter Stiller go from row 12. Of Carl Luthart and Romeo Russell on row 13. Luna Flusha and Zach Green round out row number 14. They'll have Vilmos Farn and Maximilian Rafalek on row 15. Row 16 sees Zach Delay and Arthur Huang round out the 32-car field. However, on my screen, once again, I'm not seeing Bernardo Benoldi, and I'll eat my words because he's now just clocked up, so maybe he was a late comer to the circuit. Maybe problems with starting that car. So drivers end their out lap. They now start their formation lap. At the end of this one, we should hopefully be racing for the last race of the morning before we head into that lunch break. Welcome one and all if you're watching online from around the world. If you're tuning in on motorsport.tv, YouTube or Facebook, welcome to each and every one of you. Make sure you share that stream far and wide to help showcase the best of these drivers from around the world here in Campillos, as we are nearing that halfway point of the day. And still to remind you of those intermediate classification points, it is Costoya who leads it, of course. 3 wins out of 3 with 150 points to his name. Turney is second in those points. He starts this one on the inside of row number 2 as well. Took the win earlier on. He has 144 points to his name. He's only had 1 at second place. The rest of them have been wins for Joe Turney. And this result here will put him back to the top. But of course, if Costoya later on today can maintain his qualifying heat winning process, he will certainly hold on to the lead of that one. Tyre temperatures getting warmed up. And let's see what's going to happen at this one. A plethora of new tyres, and the main drivers further up in the order who have deployed them. Daniel Kelleher has gone for a brand new rear right only, deploying the one side. Alpak Soy has done the same. He's gone for a rear right on this one. Matt Corby, who starts alongside him, has gone for a rear left. And then from that one onwards, it's more tyres being added on. Into the tramlines then. Here we go. We are racing, and it's a good start from the front row. The 2 Cup Republics going wheel to wheel there in the background. Joe Turney and Daniel Kelleher in towards turn number 1, but they all get through cleanly. Crucially, Kamyab and Sala, though, have a good getaway, and they're in the front of this one. 1-2 for them, as down the inside there, you're seeing the lights of Jensen Burnett on that Forza Racing car, trying to push his way through. The Canadian in this early stage having a good scrap as it's all kicking off in the background, and Flusha is out of this race as 4 other karts tried to get re-going, and Luna Flusha, the senior champion of the Champions of the Future Academy program last year, the Mercedes-backed driver, going no further in her latest qualifying heats, and hopefully she's okay there. She's looking at her elbow, but I think just a bit of a knock from another. But the Premier Racing driver goes no further. Eyes on the rest of the field then as it continues. Kamyab still in control of this one. Sala still in second place, but the 2 Kart Republics going to work here. Joe Turney and Daniel Kelleher wheel to wheel there, but they maintain their position. The same for Jensen Burnett there in P5. He's gone no further up the field nor down the field. He stays inside that top 5 now. There's a brief yellow flag there. I think it's still waving there from the marshals. No, I think they've cleared it now. That will be for the recovering kart of Luna Flusha, which has been placed in a safe position now. There is a look at the qualifying heat points as it stands with the drivers in these positions. Turney leading it with 185 from Filippo Sala. Roman Kamyab third with 158. Daniel Kelleher with 151. But here we go. That's all going to change now as down the inside goes Turney. Kelleher follows through as well. And now it is the likes of Ricky Flynn, followed by the 2 Factory Kart Republic drivers, and then the satellite Esprit drivers of Forza Racing's Filippo Sala and Jensen Burnett, rounding out P4 and P5. We'll keep a close eye on them. I suspect they might go to battle a little bit here, because those 2 Kart Republics are absolutely unstoppable. And here is how it all transpired in the background here. You can see big motions there. Oh, bit of debris going up there. And now what is that that's come off a kart? Is that an end plate of an exhaust? And then of a back rear bumper. There was a moment for Luna Flusha. She checks over the shoulder to think, what happened there? There's another angle of it. Ah, no. Is that a chain guard that's come off? I think it is. A chain guard off one of the karts. Now that will have a Marshall with keen eyes there. He spotted it already, pointing at it to his fellow marshals out on circuit. But drama then on that opening lap. And we'll have to see if a technical flag comes out for someone then, because that to me looked like a chain guard, but we'll have to wait and see. Lap number 3 that we are on, and there has been a change at the front here. Joe Turney has taken the lead of this one, and Daniel Kelleher has followed suit as well. Kamyab is down to now P4 because Filippo Sala has got through. Jensen Burnett is now under immense pressure from Alpac Soy, Davide Bottaro and Scott Marsh just behind. Marsh in that DPK kart at the back of that train is leading that next group as well. Duranov leading that second train. Cochet there, Chiara Batig still in the race as well, pushing through nicely. But clearly, Turney and Kelleher have the greatest package here, because they are continuing to drive away. I suspect those 2 will go all the way to the very end here between these 2. 0.2 of a second between them as the battle here still kicks off. Kamyab now being swamped by the pack. Through goes Jensen Burnett. The Canadian now up into P4. Alpac Soy will be the next to try and go for the move here. And you can imagine now that Kamyab's just going to have to go full defensive here. He has gone defensive. He's left an opening there in the background, but now Alpac Soy is now having to deal with Davide Bottaro. Scott Marsh is now going to get involved. They're going to go 3 wide over the start-finish line, and now that's brought in FM Duranov into this fight, and he's got through past Bottaro. So Bottaro trying to get that move down the inside. He's now dropped down behind Duranov into P9. There's your race leaders going through. Still no drama between them. They are going to take this one to the end. I don't think we're going to see a move from these 2 whatsoever. Turney and Kelleher, I think they're just going to go to the end right now. I think they're happy with this position. Both up 2 places, just breaking away. Forza now going to be super happy with their 2 drivers here. Sala and Burnett, yes, okay, 1 down, 1 is up. But a P3 and a P4 in these qualifying heats, still a very strong positioning. I think someone may have had an exhaust problem out there as well, because I'm hearing a slightly louder one out there as we're seeing changes in the background here. Bottaro, Corby and Cochet battling away. This is that battle. CRG, VDK and Victory Lane. 1, 2, 3. The CRG of Bottaro just getting through, is now lost out to Chiara Batig, who is further up the road now and has opened up that gap. So we'll keep a close eye on this one. Now, crucially, who else is caught in here? Is that Fastawanado, who has closed in? Brand new driver as well for this season for DPK. Stepping up into the top plate as Joe Turney at the front here doing Joe Turney things. 1 minute, 0.926, a new fastest lap of the race, and pushing through. It's just popped up on my screen. Ella Häkkinen, technical flag. Is that what is missing from the car? Is that the car that's that debris flew off, or is that the technical flag for a potential exhaust out there? Because, like I say, I'm hearing that exhaust, and is that on Ella Häkkinen's wagon out there that has had problems? Because she is currently in 24th place. She's down 5 places in this race, and I think if that is her exhaust, yeah, that might be a retirement there. Eyes on these two, though. Tony Kelleher pushing their way through. And looking at the NAS panels there, both of them, are they rocking different ones there? Is Turney on the one from last year? Yes, he is. And then you're seeing the new one from Daniel Kelleher. So Joe Turney prompting to not go for the latest 2025 NASA panels. He's thought against that one. He likes the older style there, rocking that one. Yep, confirmation there on your screen as they go through. Kelleher on that new style, though, from 2025, as I've nicknamed it, the Platypus. As it goes through, but still only 0.4 of a second between those two drivers. No real changes then. Sala holding on to 3rd place, but he's another 2 seconds further down the road. Burnett as well is in tow. He pushes his way through. There is Chiara Batig and Alpak Soy, currently 6th and 7th on circuit. Scott Marsh in tow as well. No changes between these drivers. No changes in that last sector as well as the drivers cross the line. And still maintaining in the top order. No changes for the top 10 then, or the top 15. Bernardo Bonaldi has had a good lap on that one, up now into 17th place. Jakub Kamenek, unfortunately, not having a good 3rd sector on that last lap. He's dropped to 20th place now, has Jakub Kamenek. So a little bit of a shaky start there. But there have been big movers in this race, as unfortunately going no further. Now, is that the 2:35 on my screen? No, it's the 2:95. That is Jakub Kamenek. I said he's not had a good lap on that last one. It got even worse at turn number 1 as the DPK driver from Czechia goes no further, and there's stationary yellow flags now at turn 1. If the marshal can clear that quickly, these drivers should hopefully be back in position. But eyes on this field here, and it's still just bringing these drivers to the end. There's your race leaders once more, Turney and Kelleher. No change between them. It's looking like a standard Formula 1 race here. You've got factory teams and satellite teams there, 1 and 2. With Turney and Kelleher, Sala and Burnett now pushing their way through. In fact, actually, closing in on drivers behind. There is a look at some of the stats from these drivers. Sala's been on the back foot here after starting on the front row of the grid. Only losing out on that 1 place now, down into 3rd. However, his teammate Jensen Burnett from Canada at 1 place. From P4, and you can see that gap constantly fluctuating there, going up and down. Still maintains at around 0.3 of a second, so a calm race for the front runners here as they push their way through. I'm not going to put money on Burnett going for the move on this one on his teammate. I think he can be happy with a P4 and just think about getting this car to the end of the race. But they have had a brilliant run right now, the two teams. Republic and Forza Racing just breaking away from the rest. Ricky Flynn in P5 with Roman Kamyab, the pole sitter. Did a good job at the start of this race, but not able to maintain his position and dropping to P5, but still in a strong place of P5. But on this last lap now, Joe Turney can try and get this one to the end. Nurse its kart, that Kart Republic chassis, to the end of this one. A calm and controlled day for him. Leads the intermediate classification now, looking for his 3rd win of the weekend. Only 1 second place has put him on 194 points, but he is in direct competition with Christian Kostoya currently for the Paralin Motorsport team, who is on 3 wins out of 3. But we'll have to wait and see later on today whether or not Kostoya can maintain that momentum, because Joe Turney, once again, in 2025 has changed his ways. A good qualifying and now good qualifying heats. Over the line he goes. Checkered flag. 3 out of 4 for Joe Turney ahead of Daniel Kelleher. Filippo Sala taking 3rd place ahead of Jensen Burnett. Roman Kamyab ahead of Alpak Soy. Kiara Batig from Scott Marsh. Louis Cochet from Efim Dudanov rounding out the top 10 on circuit. Passaminado, I said this earlier on, I'll say it again, another good race from the DPK Racing driver. 11 places gained to finish in P11. Davide Bataro in 12th place. The same can be said for Zach Green for DPK. 15 places gained. A very strong drive for the Briton, running with a brand new team in 2025. There's a look at the rest of your results. Matt Corby finishing in P14 ahead of Alexander Chartier. Dean Pedersen from Bernardo Benaldi. Leo Nielsen rounding out the top 18 on circuit. Carl Litthardt just behind as well, 19th place for him. 6 places gained for the MP Kart Racing team from Germany, ahead of Lev Krusilov this time around, not suffering from a puncture, and finishing in P20. Zach Drummond ahead then of Rafalik, who finished in 22nd place. Svan from Delay. Peter Stiller in 25th from Russell. And Arthur Huang rounding out the 27 finishes. Other retirements in that race. We lost Francois Cadal on the last 3 laps of that race. The DPK Racing driver not finishing the race. We saw the retirement from Jakub Kamenek, as well as Ella Hakkinen with a technical flak. Bo Louette, we didn't see what happened to him, but Luna Flusha at the start with a spin. There though, Joe Turney, another class act there, another win. And again, no expression on the face. It's just job well done, getting to the end. And that is another day in the office for the young Briton. Here's a look at the highlights from that race. Kamyab with a good start, sweeping over to the outside, getting the ultimate and maximum momentum through turn number 1. No drama there. Then you saw Turney and Kelleher, the 2 Kart Republics, at line astern. They would have a close moment. Debris flinging off a kart there in the background. Not sure what that is. And then this scary moment for Luna Flusha getting spat out of the pack. 4 other karts involved there, but still maintained in the race. Still not sure what that was. I was thinking it was a chain guard, but it didn't have the shape of it there. Possibly an end of a rear bumper as well. Those are very easily pinged off as well if you get that caught in by someone's wheel. But very shaky start for the rest. Then you had the charge from the 2 Kart Republics. Joe Turney making the move first of all, then Kelleher following suit later on in that race, pushing his way up nicely. Filippo Sala then making the moves back as well. Managed to get back up into 3rd position after recovering back, losing out in 1 spot later on, fighting it back, getting past the likes of Kamyab. Jensen Burnett would follow suit as well. Kiara Batik having a good race also, moving past Scott Marsh and getting up and finishing that one 8 places gained in towards P7. There was Jakub Kamenek out of the race. And the checker flag for Joe Turney and Daniel Kelleher. 1-2 for Kart Republic at the end of that qualifying heat. And the last race before the lunch break, we will see them all out again in around about an hour's time. That race due to start at 2:05 local time here in Spain. So make sure you set your alarms for that one. But the morning phase is now done. We have seen some wins. We have seen retirements. We have seen happiness and frustration from many drivers, but we'll see them out later on today. And that will be kick-starting with groups D and F for the juniors and seniors. And around there, you see it 52 minutes time from now. But from everyone here, we will take a short break. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll be back for the second half of the Friday's racing.